By the time my idle thoughts run out, I have reached my suite on underground level 2. I sit on the sofa and shake my head with a quiet laugh, then use an ant to relay a message to Takmungyel, asking him to come. Soon I hear rapid footsteps and panting outside the door, followed quickly by a knock, and his voice asking whether I called him. I tell him to come in and sit, gesture him to the seat across from me, and get straight to it, asking whether he heard the announcement. He nods quickly and confirms he heard the arena announcement, and I feel more certain now that this entry method really was designed to let vassals participate. I tell him that when it is nearly 8 at night, he should gather everyone in the shelter and have them all enter the arena together. He startles and asks whether that will not expose my information. I smile and shake my head, telling him not to worry because apart from him, everyone else is Baekhyun's vassal, and none of them are from our area. If the arena mode pits people against others in the same area, they will have no way to leak my details. And beyond that, these people do not know the makeup of my combat power at all. They only know my construction and farm infrastructure, which is harmless. Then I add, half joking, that Takmungyel would not betray me, would he? He shivers, a layer of cold sweat breaking across his back, and swears that even with 10 times the courage he would never dare. I've saved his life several times, he says, and he lives like a human being now entirely on my trust, so how could he do something as stupid as digging his own grave? Seeing him panic, I smile and wave it off, telling him not to be nervous, that it was only a joke and I know he would not. I hand him a weapon to use, since he may need it in the arena. From now on, I tell him, however busy he gets, he must train every day in the gravity room and the simulation room to build his strength, because if he wants to keep following me, he cannot get by without any of his own. He answers that he will train hard and not waste all my nurturing, and I tell him to go get ready. He hurries off, brimming with excitement, and I rub my chin, sinking into thought. As my first vassal, Takmungyel has abilities that line up neatly with mine, which makes him well worth cultivating. Once his strength climbs, he can at least raise his arena ranking and win rate and pull in more rewards. And for future inter-territory conquests that are not too tough, he can lead the ant army himself, so I do not have to show up in person. The 100 vassals Baekhyun has parked with me will have to be returned eventually, so I have no intention of pouring effort into their combat strength. I still need my own vassals, and fast. Action has to be taken. For these 3 days, survivors have been unable to go out to explore territories or gather resources, so plenty of them must be running dry on supplies, and already weighing which lord to pledge to. Top powerhouses like me, ranked among the highest in the area, are naturally the first choice. Picturing my magnificent underground city, I feel fully confident about recruiting. The reason these people have held on this long is that they still cling to a sliver of hope, hoping to win in the arena and pull some resources out of it. Once they lose in the arena, understand their own weakness, and let go of the illusion completely, that is when I move. The other lords in the area must be waiting on the same moment, so I feel no urge to start recruiting on the area channel yet. I get up and head to the simulation room to keep honing my combat skills, quietly waiting for the arena to begin. 10 minutes before 8 at night, in the farm area of underground level 3, the supervisor calls out for everyone to stop what they are doing and gather in the open ground in the middle. The workers hear Supervisor Tax shout and stop one after another, some with flickering expressions, some baffled, but all of them filing obediently to the center. He looks over the crowd, clears his throat with 2 coughs, and announces loudly that in less than 10 minutes the arena opens at 8 sharp, and that the Lord has commanded them all to enter and compete. Hearing that I am actually letting them into the arena, the crowd erupts in cheers, chattering and buzzing without pause. He frowns at the noise and shouts sharply for quiet, and only when the whispering dies down does he go on. There are a few points he needs to hammer in first. Number 1, win or lose. Once inside the arena, no one is to reveal any information about the Lord. He warns them not to get reckless, that if they want no one to know something, then they must not do it, and that anyone who leaks the Lord's details will get no discussion at all. Only an immediate boot out of the shelter to fend for themselves. That punishment is brutal, effectively a death sentence in this weather. Remembering that I miraculously raised a magnificent underground city in 3 days, Baekhyun's vassals genuinely fear I might have some equally miraculous way to watch them, so they fall as silent as insects in winter, nodding over and over. Satisfied at the fear on their faces, Supervisor Tak continues. Number 2. Any points or items they pick up in the arena that can be carried out must be handed over to the Lord as their accommodation fee for living in his shelter. The moment he says it, the crowd boils over again, noisy as a marketplace. A dark-skinned man rolls his eyes, shrinks back, and hides himself behind the others. Then he shouts at the top of his lungs that it is unfair, that their spoils of war should not be taken, that they have not been idle but working hard, and asks whether that is not enough. His incitement is a steel needle bursting the balloon of everyone's held-in feelings. Voices pile on, asking whether they are being treated like slaves demanding human rights and equality, until the whole crowd is a chaotic chorus of agreement. Only a few people like Yang Jinwei stay out of it, quietly stepping aside to draw a clear line between themselves and the agitated mob. Supervisor Tak frowns at the racket, but does not panic. Instead, he turns respectfully to a large ant at his feet, one wearing a dark green helmet like a sentry, and tells Lord Swift Shadow that he must trouble her. Swift Shadow gently nods her small head, then bolts into the crowd, tearing through it in an instant. And after only a few dull impacts, the loudest shouters drop to the ground. Even the dark-skinned man who started the trouble and then hid himself is not spared, knocked out cold. The people still standing see the bodies around them and go silent as chickens, with their necks wrung, not a sound out of any of them. Supervisor Tak shakes his head and says those few who stirred up trouble will be reported to the Lord and sent back to Lord Baekhyun. He asks whether they really believe their labor is worth so much, and tells them that except for the talented with special skills, plain physical labor is worthless to the Lord. Since they are making a living in the Lord's territory, they must abide by the Lord's rules. He reminds them not to forget how they became vassals in the first place, that it was not because their own shelters were uncomfortable, but simply because they could not survive alone. If they want freedom and equality, he says, they may either leave the shelter to make their own way or be sent back to Lord Baekhyun, their choice. Leaving the shelter in this environment is no different from seeking death. And going back to Baekhyun is hardly better, since if they are returned for causing trouble, he may well kick them out himself, which loops right back to death. Neither of the two roads he offers is a way to live. Watching the miserable state of the instigators and looking fearfully at Swift Shadow, who has trotted back to Supervisor Tak's side, no one raises another objection. Yang Jinwei, Oh Myong, and a few others who have had more contact with me know some of my methods, and having watched the farce end, they shake their heads with a trace of feeling. Seeing that the trouble is over, Supervisor Tak keeps his face cold while quietly letting out a breath of relief, and with 8 at night nearly here, he tells them to sit down where they are, and prepare to enter the arena. The answer is 1. Sit, close their eyes, and wait for it to open. Time slips quietly to 8 sharp. I have just finished a round of simulation and stretched out my body. Considering that my consciousness may soon enter the arena and leave my body untended, I could fall, so I go to the master bedroom of the suite, lie down on the bed, and close my eyes, silently chanting the word arena 3 times. The next second, my vision goes black, followed by a wave of dizziness, and when I come to and open my eyes, I find myself standing in a huge hall. In the center of it, a golden sphere floats in the air. I survey the whole hall and find nothing but the golden orb in front of me. I step forward and touch it, and the next second it projects a very clear, information-dense display straight into the air. If 09 saw this, he could tinker with it happily for a full year. I have long grown used to the Dark World's advanced technology, so I only chuckle and look the projection over. There are 4 options on the screen: the regional arena, the world arena, the arena rankings, and the arena shop. I lightly touch the regional arena, and the display changes. It tells me I can battle 10 times a day in the regional arena, that a victory grants victory points and arena points, and that a winning streak of more than 3 matches earns additional victory points and arena points. A defeat deducts a certain amount of victory points. It tells me that reaching a certain number of victory points lets me advance in rank, and that the ranks run Black Iron rank, Bronze, Silver, Gold rank, Platinum, Diamond, Legend, and Myth. 8 tiers total. It says survivors are ranked regionally by their rank and victory points, and that the top 100 receive ranking rewards every 7 days. Then it asks whether I want to start matching. The information here is far more detailed than the world announcement, laying out victories, defeats, streaks, and ranks thoroughly. But I am in no rush to start matching. The arena stays open 2 hours and I can only fight 10 times a day, so there's plenty of time. I exit the regional arena and look at the world arena. But the moment I enter it, a prompt tells me I can only enter the world arena once my rank reaches gold rank. So I back out and check the arena rankings, which split into regional rankings and world rankings. The world rankings sit empty, since no one has reached gold rank yet. The regional rankings already carry quite a few names, because some people were quicker off the mark, though being early does not mean going far, and in the end, strength speaks for itself, so I am not anxious about it. I return to the initial interface and look at the last option, the one I am most curious about, the arena shop. Several item descriptions appear. There is Dragon Whisker Grass at 30 points, which lets a creature that consumes it raise its life potential. There is a Black Iron rank skill treasure chest at 50 points, which on opening has a chance to yield a Black Iron rank skill book or other items. There is a Black Iron rank crafting blueprint chest, also 50 points, which on opening may yield a Black Iron rank crafting blueprint or other items. There is an arena badge fragment at 100 points, limited to 5 exchanges per day, where consuming 100 fragments upgrades it, with a note that the badge grants certain attributes, special effects, and abilities, and it tells me raising my arena rank will unlock more items. My eyes light up as I read. The shop holds a lot of good things, more than I expected. The Dragon Whisker Grass at 30 points. Most survivors might not even know its use, but having advanced once already, I know exactly what it is worth, because an item that raises life potential is something I have seen only once before. The Black Blood Flower. Its value is obvious. As for the 2 Black Iron rank chests, no need to spell it out. If I can pull a skill book or blueprint with excellent effects, It is a goose laying golden eggs, and while the chest grade is a little low and not hugely useful to me personally, the value stands, especially now that I am recruiting vassals. Better still, higher rank will likely unlock higher quality chests. The catch is that the chests only promise a probability of skills and blueprints, so I cannot be sure there are no traps. The last item, the arena badge fragment, interests me most. By the description, synthesizing a single badge takes a full 100 fragments, and upgrading it afterward will surely demand a massive number more. And the fragment even caps daily exchanges at 5, so no matter how many points I hold, I can only trade for 5 fragments a day. Relying solely on myself, it would take a full 20 days just to gather the 100 fragments for one badge, never mind the upgrades that follow. I have my guesses about this. The arena badge is clearly one of the draws meant to push lords into cultivating vassals. As long as the badge's effect is strong enough, lords in the same region will fight tooth and nail to snatch up vassals. Once I have a rough grasp of the arena's functions, 10 minutes have already gone by, so I return to the initial interface and step straight into the regional arena. I check my gear briefly, hold my dragonbone bow, and choose to start matching. The prompt tells me an opponent has been matched, and the battle stage will load in 5 seconds, counting down. Maybe it is peak arena time, because the moment I chose to match, I was paired instantly, and as the count ends I appear on a square stage 100 meters on each side. Another countdown begins as I land. 60 meters off I see my opponent, a bearded big man in leather armor, gripping a large refined iron saber. He has probably fought several matches already and looks experienced. Before the countdown ends, while I am still watching from my spot, he charges straight at me with his saber, whooping that he has good luck, that he has actually drawn an archer. I sharpen my gaze at the excited big man barreling toward me, raise the dragonbone bow, draw an arrow, and instantly loose it at his throat. The distance is only 30 meters, and with my accuracy there is almost no chance of a miss, so the dragon chi arrow strikes true. But the splash of blood I expect never comes. There is only a ringing off his throat, and my sure kill seems to do nothing at all. The big man, startled by the ferocity of the shot, breaks into a cold sweat, but seeing himself unharmed he grins and mocks me. He calls me a pretty boy, telling me the battle protection window is not over, so I cannot hurt him, that once the time runs out he will already be in close range, and asks how an archer beats a warrior up close. So there's a protection rule for the first 5 seconds of a battle that blocks all damage. I nod in understanding and hold my ground without moving my feet, drawing the bow and knocking again, releasing my fingers the instant the countdown ends. The dragon chi arrow shoots out and hits his throat clean, now less than 5 meters in front of me, and this time there is no protection. His head separates from his body on the spot, his corpse carried more than 10 meters back by momentum before it slams to the ground. I frowned a little at the bloody scene, but after so many battles and simulations I am no greenhorn afraid of blood, and I know this is only a consciousness space, and the man has not truly died. So I pay it little mind, lower the dragonbone bow, and stand quietly. The system tells me I have defeated Yu-Gi-Oh!, gaining 10 arena points and 10 victory points. 10 points and 10 victory points for a win. I frown slightly because at this rate it will not be easy to exchange for anything in the arena shop. 3 consecutive wins or more earns extra, but for an ordinary survivor stringing together victories is not simple, so most can only luck into 10 points at a time. Even the cheapest dragon whisker grass would be hard for an ordinary survivor to afford in a day, let alone a chest or badge fragments. It seems arena badge fragments are not something ordinary survivors can hold, and without saving points they can probably only manage the grass and the skill or blueprint chests. I ponder a moment, then without delay I queue for the next match. The wins roll in. I defeat Dang Bo for 10 and 10. I defeat Song Jin for 10 and 10. And having taken 3 straight I earn an extra 10 arena points and 10 victory points. On the 4th straight the bonus climbs to 20 and 20, and it keeps climbing, until at 10 straight wins the extra reward reaches 50 and 50. On this first day, the arena is so crowded that I match an opponent almost instantly every time, and in under half an hour I burn through all 10 matches with hardly a pause. For me, most survivors are less trouble than a mutated rabbit, and except for that first match where I did not grasp the rules, every one after ended with a single arrow. I have a clearer picture of the point rules now. In the Black Iron tier, a win grants a fixed 10 arena points and 10 victory points. 3 straight wins add another 10 and 10, and each further consecutive win adds more, until the bonus tops out at 50, after which it stops growing. With a perfect 10 and 0 record, I have banked 400 arena points and 400 victory points. Climbing from Black Iron to Bronze grade takes 500 victory points, so I will have to wait until tomorrow to advance. The arena points do not amount to much either, not even enough to buy all 5 of the daily limited badge fragments. Still, if I keep the streak alive, even with unchanged rewards after promotion, I can pull 600 points tomorrow, and it is very likely the rewards will rise after promotion, because otherwise there would be no reason to cap the badge fragments at all. I open the arena shop and spend 500 arena points straight on 5 arena badge fragments. They are black diamond-shaped metal pieces about the size of a fingernail, and they feel heavy as if made from some high-density alloy. I tuck them into my beast hide waist pouch and check the regional rankings. There are quite a few people with a perfect record like mine, 35 in all, and Heo Singyol, first in the region, is naturally among them. Given the quality of opponents I ran into, that is normal. But this is only the first day. As time passes, the stronger players will climb tiers and start meeting one another, and holding a perfect record will get far harder. During the battles, I ran a small experiment and found the arena's rules very close to the simulation rooms. I could only summon Mowal and my other 3 ant queens to fight, since ants without a mutual aid contract cannot be summoned. Even so, with the intermediate agility and other passive abilities granted by the Heart of the Lord, plus continuous training in the attribute gains from tier advancement, I did not need to summon the queens at all. With just the Dragon Bone Bow, most survivors in the region are no match for me. But as the streak stretches on and the tiers climb, I will run into stronger opponents, and not being able to summon my strongest ant army will always be a problem. After 10 battles in the exchange, I do not linger. Following the Golden Orb's instructions, I close my eyes and silently will myself out of the arena, and the next second I am back in the shelter, waking on the bed in the bedroom. The first thing I do is check my beast hide waist pouch, and with a thought, 5 black, diamond-shaped metal pieces appear in my hand, the arena badge fragments. Feeling their weight, I let out a quiet breath of relief. It is good that shop items can be carried out, because now vassals can exchange items for me. But to motivate them, mere coercion will not work, so I will have to set up some reward mechanism. How many provisions or items buy 1 badge fragment? That is a detail I will let Takmungyel work out later. If there were no benefit at all, those vassals might deliberately lose or simply refuse to trade for items, and since the arena is an independent consciousness space, it is hard to verify any of it. With a reward mechanism, they will chase victory on their own initiative. I return the fragments to my pouch, get up, and head for underground level 3, since all the vassals were fighting in the arena there, and should finish soon, and I want to see their gains and what they ran into. The moment I step off the elevator on underground level 3, I see the crowd in the center. A few are still unconscious from entering the arena, but most have surfaced, and Takmungyel stands in front of them frowning, counting something with paper and pen. Seeing me approach, he quickly stows it and scurries over, telling me I have arrived. I nod and ask what he was writing. With a wry smile, he hands me the paper and says he was tallying the points these people pulled in the arena. Only a small number won 2 or 3 times, most have only 10 points, and some have 0. I shake my head, smiling, and tell him that although these people are not strong, they have at least been eating and drinking well these past few days, so their condition is not bad. No matter what, it should not be that someone only 1 match or none at all. Someone is hiding something. He starts to apologize and I cut him off, telling him this is simply human nature, and he should not blame himself too much. We solve it through the system. I have him draft a reward mechanism based on their current needs, and I add that arena badge fragments are very useful to me, so when he sets the rewards he should crank up the cost effectiveness of the fragments. He is delighted, telling me he will handle the matter well, and I can see he had this idea already but had not been authorized. Now that I have signed off, he can fully cut loose. On the second floor of Heo Sinyol's shelter, he leans back in his chair and coldly asks a young man in glasses kneeling on the ground whether he means he just ran into me, Zhang Hyun, in the arena. The bespectacled youth shudders and looks up quickly, confirming to his lord that yes, he has crucial intelligence to report. Though inwardly excited, Heo Sinyol keeps a calm face and utters a single cold word, telling him to speak. The youth rattles it off. Tonight the lord had all of them enter the arena and set a rule that they must win at least 3 times. He fought 7 straight matches and only won once, and afterward he got nervous, not daring to match again right away, waiting a full 5 minutes before starting the next. That time he drew a man holding a longbow and a black windbreaker, and the moment the countdown ended, the man shot an arrow to his throat. The instant the battle ended, he checked the information, and the man with the bow was named Zhang Hyun. He tells the lord that Zhang Hyun is a powerful archer, that he wanted to probe his strength as much as he could, but the archery was too fast and too accurate and he could do nothing at all. Then he breaks down crying, face fallen, lying flat on the ground, not daring to look up. Heo Singyol glances down at him with disdain and says coldly that the intelligence is somewhat useful, so he will not be punished tonight, and tells him to get out. The youth rejoices, kowtows a few times, and stumbles away. Heo Singyol straightens a little, a confident smile spreading across his face, telling himself he thought Zhang Hyun, the man who kept snatching his area first reward, was some formidable character, and it turns out he is only an archer. An archer scouting and hunting had a real advantage in the tasks of the past few days, he reasons, but in the fight for territory, an archer relying on individual strength is completely insignificant. Still, to be safe, he will prepare some protective gear tailored to an archer's traits. He tells himself to just wait, that when the eternal night ends, that will be the time for him, Heo Singyol, to conquer the entire area. Meanwhile, I have no idea my information has fallen into Heo Singyol's hands, nor that I have been mistaken for an archer. Not that it worries me. There are only a few thousand people in the area. A major lord has at least 100 under him, and matching 10 arena battles a day makes running into an opponent's vassal quite likely, so some leakage was always coming. But if anyone truly believes my arena showing is the full extent of my strength, they will be dumbstruck the day we meet offline and they see my ant army. Having handed the reward and punishment rules to Tak Mungyal, I now prepare to recruit on the area channel as originally planned, but I do not simply fire off recruitment messages. First, I go down to the underground city on underground level 4 and use the camera function in the manual's chat channel to take a few photos and record a few videos, focusing on the magnificent exterior of the underground city and the modern facilities inside the buildings. Then I go to underground level 3, pick a few energetic-looking vassals, and photograph them working the farm. The manual's chat channel has always had a camera function, and from the earliest days in the Dark World, people posted selfies and videos to trade for resources. The reason I never used it was the same fear of exposing my information, but this is a critical moment for recruiting, and if I do not act, everyone will get snatched up. Revealing a little architectural information is harmless, since these photos only highlight my construction and give away nothing of my combat abilities. With everything ready, I open the area chat channel, and the first thing I see is Hyo Sing-yeol and his cronies working together to fool people again. But the survivors who have not yet picked a lord are shrewd now, and they do not swallow it impulsively the way they did on the first day. So Hyo Sing-yeol and his lackeys come off like clowns. Other lords in the area are pushing recruitment messages too. Hyo Sing-yeol announces that the Unity Alliance is recruiting large numbers, that with the area first in charge the treatment is generous and the prospects huge, that spots are limited and the strong are welcome. Sun Wei-peng posts that he is ranked 3rd in the area with a perfect arena record, that he is recruiting 10 vassals, prioritizing those with special skills or expertise, and to private message him. A woman named Mei Muk-chong posts that if any big brother wants to join her shelter, and if he is suitable, both her shelter and she herself will be his, with a suggestive photo attached. I shake my head lightly at their messages. During the eternal night, people cannot go out, so no one can forcefully attack another territory. And these lords are pulling out every trick to recruit, each showing off their own approach. Their shelters are probably not large though, because they are no longer recruiting blindly but attaching conditions and picking and choosing. Even Hyo Sing-yeol is doing it. Seeing the moment is right, I think for a beat and send my first recruitment message, that the shelter is recruiting large numbers, with many job positions, good living conditions, rich promotion channels, and a clear reward and punishment system, and that everyone is welcome to join. The instant I speak, Hyo Sing-yeol's cronies mock me. One asks whether this is not Area 2nd and whose shelter space is not tight now, sneering at unlimited recruitment as if I have such a large territory. Another asks whether I am not trying to open a shady shop and make human meat buns. At their sarcasm and slander, the interested survivors hesitate again, and even the recruiting lords stop sending messages, all waiting to see how I respond. I am not annoyed. I am pleased, because Hyo Sing-yeol's 2 cronies have, by some strange coincidence, drawn a lot of attention my way. Unhurried, I upload several photos straight to the area chat channel. Because the underground city is too shocking, I only post a few of the indoor dormitories and vassals at work. But even so, the clean, tidy, modern dormitories set off an uproar across the entire area and draw out the crowd of survivors who had been lurking and watching. Someone asks whether it is a photoshopped image, whether the Dark World really has these conditions, and another snaps back that all photos taken here are absolutely real, daring anyone to try faking one. Another says he is going to be conquered sooner or later, so he is done holding out and might as well choose a lord with good conditions to pledge to. The area channel is not the only thing boiling. My private messages explode too, people flooding in to pledge allegiance. One writes that his profession is warrior with a 70% arena win rate, and asks whether he is suitable. Another admits he has little combat power but was an award-winning professional photographer on Blue Star and could take my territory's photos even better, asking whether I will take him in. Combat types, skill holders, crafters, and people who can do nothing at all of them message me, nearly bursting my private chat. I had not expected a few photos to hit this hard. I stop sending recruitment messages, return to my room at once, and go through the private messages one by one. The other lords, for their part, are dumbstruck. Watching the area channel talk about nothing but me, they lose all appetite for sending recruitment messages and grind their teeth in hatred. One mutters that everyone is being snatched by Jang Hyun, but with such exquisite rooms his territory cannot be large, so he probably cannot recruit many, and to let him strut a while. Another admits I will likely cream off a lot of good talent, and combined with my area 2nd strength, I am certainly a formidable enemy. Hyo Sing-yeol is studying the photos I just posted, staring closely, and after a while his brow relaxes and he chuckles softly. No wonder I reached area 2nd, he tells himself, since on top of excellent archery and solid individual combat, I also have such strong infrastructure. Then his tone curdles, and he sneers that however strong the infrastructure, it is merely secondary, that the truly crucial factor is combat power, and that focusing development on infrastructure is putting the cart before the horse. He tells me to enjoy my pride a while, because when the eternal night ends, everything I have now will be a wedding dress for him, and that he will consider making me his infrastructure captain. I have no idea Hyo Sing-yeol is fantasizing again. I am busy on underground level 4, going through private messages one by one. From the messages alone, no fewer than 300 people have written to me privately, and the number keeps climbing, with some skipping the message entirely and sending a vassal application straight over. I scroll quickly. The vast majority are not strong, sitting at the lower end of the whole area for survival ability in the dark world. But some carry professional skills learned on Blue Star, and though those are useless for survival, they are quite valuable to me, since I aim to build an underground kingdom. In a sense, their value even outstrips some survivors, whose combat power ranks middle to upper in the area, because I already have gold rank ants for combat and am not lacking there, while many functional skills and abilities are things ants can never do. The messages are too many to read one by one patiently, so I simply send them all the same reply, telling them to apply as vassals. Soon the application prompts roll in, that Sun Wold has applied to become my vassal, and asks whether I accept, that Hong Gon has applied and asks whether I accept, and on and on. I accept every one, and in a little over 10 seconds survivors of every height and build, all somewhat disheveled, appear in the open ground before me. The moment they land in my shelter, their eyes are dragged instantly to the magnificent underground city, and they stare in disbelief at the 4 towering pillar buildings and the suspended artificial sun hanging above. Some are moved to tears and prostrate themselves on the ground. I half understand the exaggerated reactions. I never posted full photos of the underground city on the area channel, only some interior shots, and while those looked clean and modern, they were still inside their frame of understanding. Whereas these pillar high-rises are already fantastical, completely beyond their imagination. Seeing people still teleporting over one after another, I do not want to just stand there waiting, so I call Tak Mungyal over. I tell him to compile all their information, focusing on their skills, specialties, and whether they can craft items, and to report back once he has settled them in. He accepts the task, pats his chest, and goes forward with a few ant bodyguards to collect the information. Baekhyun's vassals he sends first to work in the underground level 3 farm. Omyong and Yang Jinwei, along with a few others who hold special skills, do not have to work, and they walk together toward Building 1 to return to their rooms and craft items or draft plans. As Omyong walks, he glances back at the bustling newcomers and, with some worry, tugs Yang Jinwei's sleeve, asking whether the Lord recruiting so many new people will affect them. The others, hearing this, look at Yang Jinwei nervously too, wanting to hear his answer. Yang Jinwei frowns without breaking stride, and says sternly that they are not to question the Lord's decisions, that they can craft items and will do fine whether under Lord Zhanghyun or Lord Baekhyun. Omyong presses, saying they are not Lord Janghyun's vassals after all, and there will come a day they must return to Lord Baekhyun, and that Lord Janghyun's side is developing so well, so could they not stay? His words strike a chord, and the others nod along, one adding that Lord Janghyun's combat power may not match Lord Baekhyun's, but his construction ability is far stronger. Yang Jinwei's frown deepens, and suddenly he cuts them off, telling them enough, not to forget their identities. They are Lord Baekhyun's vassals, he says, and if not for Lord Baekhyun taking them in and giving them a chance to live, they might have died long ago. However good Lord Janghyun's side is, they are only passing through, and the time will not be long, perhaps ending the day the eternal night ends. With that, he ignores the others and walks quickly into Building 1. In truth, Yang Jinwei wishes he could stay with me too. My ants combined with his construction ability can perfectly realize the designs in his head, and that thrills an old architectural engineer who would love to keep building here until a true underground kingdom is finished. But he knows it is impossible. Only the top 3 in the area can obtain quotas to recruit cross-area vassals, and those quotas are extremely rare. So how could I spend a precious one poaching a man from my ally Baekhyun, just for him? He sighs, and back hunched walks toward his room on the 5th floor of Building 1. In the living room of the 2nd underground level suite, Tak Mungyal brings me the list and information of this batch of people, and asks to report. He hands me a densely written sheet, gathers his thoughts, and tells me that 323 people were teleported over just now, that he has arranged them in the farm area for now and had the older residents help them learn the environment. He has tallied all their abilities and for easier management divided them into several categories. I ask what he means by categories, straightening a little with interest, and I signal him to go on. He explains that survivors' abilities are diverse but generally fall into several major groups: combat, support, life, administrative, research, and special, each of which further splits into smaller branches. Combat is the easiest to grasp, he says, melee or ranged, warrior or mage, anyone whose skills benefit combat, and of the 323 I just recruited, 37 are combat types. Only 37 combat types, roughly a tenth, a small number but normal, since survivors strong enough in combat can do well on their own, and would not join me this early. I nod and ask about the rest. He continues that support types lean toward amplifying combat power and assisting combat types in battle, and strictly speaking, support is a branch of combat, and right now there are only 9. So few. I frown, then quickly understand, because compared to combat survivors with stronger survival ability, pure support survivors have had a harder time lasting until now, so fewer is natural. But as the saying goes, offense flows while support holds firm. Compared to highly replaceable damage dealers, support with good auxiliary skills is clearly more crucial. The 37 combat vassals I just recruited might not, altogether, beat a single one of my gold rank ants, and without training they will not be much use. But support is different. They can directly buff the gold rank ants and raise their combat power, which means they can directly boost my existing strength. This time I really struck gold. My face lights up, and I tell Takmungyel to keep a close eye on those 9 support talents and to continue with the remaining categories. He nods quickly and goes on. The third category is life skills. Survivors who have mastered manufacturing blueprints, who have expertise in animal husbandry or agriculture, or who worked as chefs or barbers on Blue Star. All of them life types. The fourth is administrative types. And as my subjects increase and the territory expands, he says, he alone cannot handle everything. So we will need administrative personnel with strong organizational skills and relevant experience to help with management. To keep the public's trust, though, administrative personnel will only handle basic administrative work. While for the middle and upper positions, he prefers to draw people from other categories who have strong management ability and have made significant contributions. The fifth category is research types, mainly people who did scientific research on Blue Star. And though the Dark World's technology differs vastly from Blue Star's, some of their ideas and knowledge remain very useful, so any problem I want solved can be handed to them. The last category is special types, where he has grouped every survivor with a special ability that does not fit neatly into the other 5. The 6 categories he has devised are genuinely excellent, streamlining my previously disorganized vassals and making them far clearer. I nod, satisfied, and look at him with approval, telling him to do exactly as he said. Then I add a few things. I tell him to set up a ranking system for them based on the Dark World's item ranks, from Black Iron rank all the way to Mythical rank. With the higher the rank, the better the treatment in food, lodging, and so on. I also want him to create tasks that raise their contribution points to lift their rank. For instance, items exchanged in the arena earning contribution points, with more tasks to be added gradually. He nods, writing busily in his little notebook, then looks up struck by an idea, telling me he suddenly has a thought. Why not set up 6 departments based on the 6 types, abbreviated as the 6 ministries, each with a department head, managed hierarchically? I chuckle and tease him that it is a good idea, but it sounds like the administrative structure of some ancient kingdom, asking whether he is trying to make me a king. He rubs the back of his neck sheepishly, then says with mounting excitement that as a lord I will keep conquering in the future. So how is that different from being a king, and why not just borrow the existing institutions of some countries? In a code of law, he adds, that is essential too. Otherwise, with more people there will surely be plenty of trouble. And then he keeps going. Watching him get more excited and more elaborate, I feel a headache coming and quickly wave him down, telling him to organize all his ideas and present them to me in writing, and that as long as it is reasonable we will do as he says. First I tell him he should come with me to meet the new vassals. He answers that he will. I bring him to the underground level 3 farm, gather the newly recruited vassals, and introduce myself, and then I turn into a hands-off manager, leaving all of them to talk Mongol. I return to the suite's living room, brew a pot of world tree leaf tea, and after a cup I relax completely and let out a long sigh. Humans are truly complex, I think, full of love and hate and resentment, tangled interests, all sorts of emotions and thoughts. Ants, by contrast, have neither so many emotions nor so much creativity, but under a strict hierarchy each performs its own duty and the efficiency is far higher. If only humans could be like ants, letting me command them as easily as moving my own arm, that would be wonderful. As I muse, I seem to slip into a strange state. My spiritual power intertwines more tightly with the several mutual aid contract ant queens. My vision gradually blurs and I simply lie down on the sofa and fall asleep. 3 days later, on the top floor of Building 1, which is the 50th floor, in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of a huge office, I sit in a beast-skin chair and look down at the hurried crowd below, small as ants. I take a sip of tea and lean back comfortably. No wonder some big bosses like a large office on the top floor, since this feeling of looking down on all living beings really is quite good. These 3 days have been exhausting, but the territory is finally on track, and from now on I will not have to worry so much. 3 days ago I suddenly fainted, and on waking I immediately ran a full-body check, and finding nothing wrong I simply chalked it up to exhaustion and thought no more of it. Over the following 3 days I recruited more than 100 additional vassals, so I alone now have over 500, and with Baekhyun's 100 the territory's residents already top 600, and the 5 renovated floors were no longer enough. So I quickly renovated 5 more floors upward in Building 1, and decorated the floor-to-ceiling window office on the very top floor I had been longing for. In those 3 days, Tak Mungyol also drafted the 6 ministries system, the code of law, and the promotion system he had proposed, and after discussion and revision with me they went officially into operation, and by the current feedback from the subjects the effect is quite good. At this point the underground city finally resembles a true city. On top of that, after 4 straight days of victories in the arena, my rank is already close to silver rank. As I expected, once I was promoted to bronze grade, the basic reward rose to 20 points and 20 victory points, and the consecutive win bonus climbed to 60 victory points. Now, holding a perfect record, I earn 800 arena points a day, enough to trade for 5 badge fragments and still keep plenty over. When I saw the bronze grade chest added to the shop, I did not rush to exchange for it, choosing instead to save points and trade for a higher grade chest once my arena rank improves. Across these 3 days, I also ran into some strong experts and nearly lost a few times, but I was more skilled and barely held my perfect record. At this point, only 3 of us in the entire region keep perfect records: Heo Singyul, Sun Weipeng, and myself, and the 3 of us also happen to be the top 3 in the regional rankings. Judging by our fighting styles, some busybodies have even handed the 3 perfect record holders nicknames. Heo Singyul is the Blazing Mage, I am the Swift Shadow Archer, and Sun Weipeng is the Soaring Swordmaster. I reject these absurdly overwrought titles, and besides, I am not an archer. My true profession is clearly a beast tamer. But even if I explained, these people would not believe me, and I am happy to have my enemies misunderstand, so I do not bother. I shake my head and consciously ask Mowell how many troops it has stockpiled now. Mowell answers that it has cultivated a total of 215 gold-ranked black scythe ants, all dormant and sealed with its war reserve capability. I frown slightly and think it over. After the cold wave ends, daytime will lengthen greatly and the black fog restrictions during the day will lift, so I am afraid we will immediately enter a state of war. There are still 20 full days until the cold wave ends, and Mowell can cultivate 80 to 100 ants a day at full capacity, so after 20 days the number of gold-ranked black scythe ants should reach around 3,000. That is enough. I tell Mowell to keep cultivating at full capacity, and it answers that it obeys. Having grasped the troop situation, I take out the manual again and look at the glory page. After taking in over 500 vassals, I not only unlocked the glory function, my glory rank has also reached level 2. The panel tells me I am at level 2 glory, 500 of the 1,000 needed for the next level. The first function grants survivors and their summoned creatures and pet beasts immunity to black mist intrusion for 30 minutes a day, with the note that immunity time increases with glory level. The second function lets me select one occupied shelter as a sub-base and teleport between the main shelter and the sub-base, and it says upgrading will unlock more. Compared to level 1 glory, the black mist immunity has jumped from 10 minutes to 30. With the marching speed of my ants, a round trip within a 20-kilometer radius of the shelter would be no problem at all, and if the weather were not so harsh, I would love to send a wave of ants out to raid nearby shelters at night. On top of that, the sub-base function is unlocked and it is very powerful, letting me teleport to and from any shelter I occupy. Even setting aside its other uses, just as a teleportation hub, it would be extremely effective, allowing me to deploy troops behind enemy lines and form a two-pronged attack, with immense strategic significance. But I have another idea for the sub-base. I wonder whether it can be established across regions. If it can, I could interfere in another region's area chief competition, and even secure the position of area chief in 2 regions at once. The more I turn it over, the more feasible it seems, especially since Will and I can already teleport across regions through the mutual aid contract, which tells me cross-regional teleportation has few restrictions, so there is no reason the sub-base's teleportation could not be cross-regional either. Invading other regions through a sub-base means more territory, more resources, more vassals, a great many benefits. But there are quite a few strong contenders in my current region, and being too careless and taking a setback would be disastrous, so I must proceed steadily and lock down the area chief position in my own region first. I ponder a moment and set the bold idea aside for now. Just then someone knocks on the office door. I collect myself, look toward it and tell them to come in. The door opens and Tak Mungyil enters with 3 people, introducing them at once, telling me he has brought the people I requested, that all 3 worked in research-related fields on Blue Star, 2 of them masters of engineering and 1 a biology doctor. There is even a biology doctor. I only asked him to find talented individuals in the territory with high academic qualifications and extensive research experience, and I did not expect such a haul. My face lights up and I straighten and look forward. The 3 have lived in my territory for 3 days and their mental state seems quite good. I focus on the biology doctor Tak Mungyel mentioned, a man in rimless glasses who looks around 40, his slightly thin body standing ramrod straight, very capable, and he seems reliable. I nod and ask what I should call him. He adjusts his glasses and answers, neither humble nor arrogant, that his name is Wang Hian. The 2 masters of engineering beside him quickly say theirs are Guok Hochen and Ji Yang. I nod and tell them Tak Mungyal should have explained why I called them. I want to establish a research department in the territory to do research work very similar to what they did on Blue Star, I say. And as long as they produce results, their compensation will not be an issue. Wang Hian and the others show no surprise, having been prepared for this, and after a glance among them, Wang Hian speaks first, asking what specific tasks they need to do. I wave them to their seats and tell them to sit so we can talk, while Tak Mungyal, with good sense, goes to pour tea. Once they are seated, I take a sip and lay it out. I plan to dedicate an entire floor in Building 1 to their research department's office, and it should be renovated within the next few days. For personnel, they can recruit from the existing subjects themselves, picking whoever they judge suitable and handing the list to Tak Mungyeol. As for tasks, I have one to give them right now, and I smile and tell them not to be nervous, that this task is very simple for them and perfectly aligned with Wang Haeon's expertise. I have an instrument that can extract and fuse genes, I tell them, and I need them to help me extract the genes of all the flora and fauna in the territory and explore what practical gene combinations exist. I add that I also have a spring water here that can cause mutations in plants and animals, and that later they may need to cultivate some mutated organisms, extract their mutated genes, and keep hunting for powerful ones. I tell them the task is simple, but that it is a long-term project and extremely important to me. An instrument that extracts and fuses genes. Wang Haeon's pupils suddenly constrict, and with a troubled expression he asks whether I am joking. Gene extraction and fusion demand extremely precious instruments and a proper laboratory environment, he says. And on Blue Star, setting up such a biological laboratory would cost hundreds of millions at least, so he asks whether there is really such an experimental environment here. Despite the benefits I promised, he does not agree at once but raises his concerns first, and seeing his rigorous attitude I nod, satisfied. I tell him not to worry and not to judge the dark world by his old Blue Star experience, because there are black tech creations here he cannot even imagine, and gene extraction and fusion are only basic operations. At my assurance, he finally breathes out and agrees, telling me they will do their best, and I tell him good, that I await their good news, and I tell Tak Mungyeol to settle Dr. Wang and the others properly. He answers that he will. Watching them leave, I let out a long sigh with a faint smile and murmur that it is good to have more people, since I have finally managed to offload this troublesome matter. Wang Haeon, I hope he can give me some surprises. Then I call Swift Shadow and tell her to arrange for a few subordinates to keep an eye on their movements and report any situation directly to me, and she answers that she obeys. Only after her reply do I fully relax. The gene manipulator is my core tool, and because of material limitations, 09 cannot mass produce it yet, so without a few ants watching over it, I truly cannot rest easy. Just then my manual sounds, and picking it up I see it is 09. I am not surprised, since over the past few days I have had him make a lot of tools for renovating several floors of Building 1, so I assume the tools I commissioned are ready. But when I read the message I am stunned, because 09 tells me he has figured out the principle of the energy converter. Energy converter? What is that? For a moment, I cannot recall what an energy converter is, so I quickly ask him whether it is a new item he developed. He tells me it is not something he developed, but an instrument that came out of the 100 treasures pouch awarded after we killed the mutated raging thunder bear, and that he has only just figured out its principle. At that, the memory comes back. After killing the mutated raging thunder bear, 09's 100 treasures pouch yielded 3 items: a siderite ore mother, an energy converter, and a dragon bone bow. The dragon bone bow came to me, while 09 kept the other 2. At the time, I had hoped he would quickly crack the energy converter and make some useful items to strengthen our team, but after so many days he stayed quiet and I long forgot about it. I had not expected him to understand it only now. The gene manipulator, also a gold grade item, took 09 less than 3 days to understand. Was this energy converter so complex it took him a full 10 plus days? Or could its effect be extremely powerful, far surpassing the gene manipulator? The thought stirs a little excitement. Before I can ask, 09 sends more. The original purpose of the energy converter, he says, was to extract energy from items and convert it into other kinds of energy, but the extraction and conversion speed are relatively slow, so its practical value is low. After disassembling it, he combined its energy conversion module with some modules he had previously mastered and has temporarily developed 2 items. Now I understand, my gaze narrowing. No wonder he researched for so long, since he was studying the combination of different technology modules. Before 09 could only develop items from single modules, but now he can combine them, so it seems I am not the only one making progress. His strength has greatly improved lately too. Soon he sends more. The first item, he says, is the compressed energy gun, a weapon made by combining a purification module with a conversion module, whose power is 10 times that of the energy gun he previously equipped my ants with, though its energy consumption has also risen by 5x. A bronze-grade beast core can fire only 1 energy bullet. A silver rank can fire 3 times, and though he has not tested a gold rank beast core exactly, by his calculations of energy purity and total amount, it should fire around 20 times. That is insane. I am shocked. I have personally seen the power of an ordinary energy gun which can deal some damage even to a gold rank mutated beast, and now the compressed energy gun's power is 10 times that. What kind of concept is that? Would it not directly and heavily wound a gold rank mutated beast? The energy consumption has climbed sharply, but against the power gained that is hardly worth mentioning. Gold rank beast cores are rare, so I cannot burn them lavishly as the energy source, but bronze grade and silver rank cores are plentiful and can be equipped in large numbers. And though the cores would need frequent installing, against the gun's power those are minor issues. If I equipped every ant with one and had them fire in unison at the enemy, the scene would be beautiful. Amid the excitement, I keep a certain calm and ask the crucial question, what the compressed energy gun's manufacturing cost is, and whether it can be mass-produced. The cost is fine, he says, but the gun has extremely high requirements for barrel materials. So far, he has only found siderite able to withstand the pressure of compressed energy bullets, and siderite production is limited, so he can make only about 20 conventional caliber compressed energy guns a day, and if I want a larger caliber compressed energy cannon, only one a day. For an item of this power, that production rate is already terrifying. I am not greedy, so I nod and reply that the compressed energy gun is very important to me. I ask whether he can manufacture a batch of guns and cannons adapted for the ants, adding that when the war begins I will do my best to clear the obstacles in his area. 09 does not say much, and readily agrees, telling me that is easy to do and will not take much time. The second item, he continues, combines the conversion module with the dismantling module obtained from my gene manipulator, and it is called the elemental absorption orb. Placed in one spot, it can absorb elemental energy from its surroundings, compress and store it, and produce pure elemental energy. At that I frown slightly, because compared to the simple, easy-to-grasp compressed energy gun, I have not quite worked out what this elemental absorption orb actually does. But I am no longer alone, and now that I have a research team behind me, finding its use should not be hard. So I ask whether, if he has many elemental absorption orbs, he could give me one. He says he has one ready now and does not need it for the moment, so he will give it to me first. And he sends a trade request directly, and after I accept, a transparent crystal ball about the size of a fist appears in my hand. I look it over twice, cannot figure out how to use it, and put it back into my pouch, planning to give it to Wang Hyun and his team to study. Having received so many benefits from 09, I suddenly feel a little embarrassed, because although I promised to help him repel his enemies, there are still many days until the war begins, so it sounds somewhat like an empty promise. So I ask again whether there is anything he needs my help with. There is something he needs to talk to me about, he replies, and he will come to my shelter to discuss it. 09 actually has something to discuss? Before I can think further, I receive a teleportation request from him, and after I agree, he appears in my office. I look over and startle slightly. After a long absence, 09's manner seems to have gone much more indifferent, just like a machine. I shake my head and look again, and find him curiously examining my office, seeming to have returned to his normal self. Was it my imagination? Just as I stand there in a daze, 09 speaks. He needs my help with two things, he says. One is to prepare a large enough and quiet enough space for him, because he has an important experiment to conduct. The other is to give him some ants to assist him in some research on biomechanics. A large space in biomechanical research. I furrow my brow, a little confused, but I have taken so many benefits from 09 that whenever he asks, I will do it. So I nod and agree. I tell him to finalize the design for the underground laboratory and hand it straight to Rock Spirit. A hint of confusion crosses his face at the name, so I explain that Rock Spirit is the tunneling ant queen, and that once his plan is set, the construction can begin at once, quickly enough to be finished in a day if things move fast. He nods, his lips twitching stiffly, and says he will do it as soon as possible, thanking me. Seeing his awkward expression, I feel a little helpless, so I walk over, take his cheek, and gently shake it, telling him to smile more, that his face has gone all stiff. His pupils widen, a little flustered, and he tells me to let go. I only laugh and ruffle his head, adding that I am counting on him for the compressed energy gun too. He answers with a small sound, says he will finalize the blueprints as soon as he can, then twists his head free of my grip and teleports away. Once he is gone, my smile fades and I frown, because I keep feeling 09's state is a little off. I will ask Will. I pick up my manual, send Will a message about what I noticed, and soon he replies thanking me for the reminder and telling me the changes should be tied to 09's abilities, that there is no major problem for now, but he will watch more closely. That eases me, because 09 is far too important to me. He is both my companion and my supplier, and without him, my construction progress and completion rate would be cut at least in half. Related to abilities, and his ability is mechanical. Ever since I completed my own advancement, there are moments my thought process feels a little like an ant's, so I wonder whether 09 is on the verge of advancing too. But first-tier trial scrolls are terribly rare, and I have no idea how he would solve the problem of the medium. I will keep an eye out for him when I have time. Relieved, I walk to the huge floor-to-ceiling window, sip my tea and look out, thinking it over quietly. The underground city still has rough edges, but for this stage it is already enough. The vassals all play their roles in orderly fashion, and Takmungyol can handle the daily affairs, so from here I only need to develop steadily and wait for the cold wave to end. The ants, though, have hit a wall stuck at gold rank and unable to climb, and to break through to platinum they need an advancement of their own. To be safe, I want Mowell and the others to bank more experience before they try, and I hope Wang Haeon's team yields results fast. Enough. I will stop overthinking and leave the brain-draining work to my subordinates while I focus on my own strength. First, the simulation room, to drill my archery and live combat. I set down the teacup, opened a glass door beside the floor-to-ceiling window, and jumped straight out. It is a 50-floor drop, and the elevator would be slow, so I had this door built for my own convenience. After only 2 meters of freefall, my whole body strangely floats in the air, and then I shoot off into the distance. The crowd below sees me leap and cries out in shock. One voice asking what is flying, another shouting that it is the Lord and it is far too cool. Among their envious stares, my figure vanishes fast into the distance. Hearing them shout, my vanity is thoroughly satisfied and I nod content. It really is more enjoyable with an audience. The emotional value spot on. The sentry ants I merged with the raven gene work well, since only 2 are needed to keep balance and carry me easily in flight. Very convenient. I will tame 2 of them later. In the simulation room, I do not start a battle right away. Instead, I call the 2 sentry ants that just showed off, the ones who carried me in flight, and bring them to hover in front of me, meaning to tame them first and make them my true pet beasts. All this time I have tamed only 4 ant queens, because my spiritual power is limited, and I feared taming too many ants would overload it. My ants are no ordinary insects, but huge, gold-rank creatures, and the burden of taming one is no less than taming a wild beast. On top of that, the species contract lets me command ants without taming them, which is exactly why I never bothered taming more. But that carries a drawback. Untamed ants I cannot summon to fight in simulations, and I cannot summon them in the arena either, since strictly speaking, they are not my pet beasts. The reason I want these 2 flying sentry ants tamed is to summon them in simulations and drill aerial combat in advance, so I can use it in the arena. Because an archer and a flying archer are entirely different concepts, and it is only 2 sentry ants, so the burden is slight. So I stop hesitating. I look at the pair, a purple light flares in my left eye as I use the Eye of Taming, which I have not touched in a long while, and as the purple glow washes over them, they become my pet beasts. The instant it ends, I stand rooted in place, stunned, as if I have stumbled onto something extraordinary. Wait, that is not right. The spiritual power the taming consumed is the problem, not that it took too much, but that it took far too little, so little it can be ignored entirely. I feel the change in my spiritual power with a jolt of surprise and joy, and I know it is not my imagination. My eyelids twitch. How can this be? When I first got the Eye of Taming, I tried taming black iron rank black scythe hunting ants, and the drain was not small, and that was black iron rank. This time I tamed sentry ants close to gold rank, so by all logic it should cost more, not less. I turn it over and land on a few possibilities. Either my spiritual power went through some qualitative change as it grew, easing the burden of taming ants, or the heart of the Lord or the species contract is quietly influencing it. Too many possibilities, and I cannot pin down the real one. But I am not a man who dwells. The change is good, so I accept it calmly and clench my fists, beaming. Since taming ants costs so little spiritual power, does that not mean I can tame thousands of gold-rank black scythe ants? And if I can, then I can summon an entire ant army in the arena. Who could stop me then? I have always been conflicted about not being able to summon the ant army in the arena, because archer was only ever a hobby, and beast tamer is my true profession. A huge share of my combat power rides on the ants. With the ant army, I count as a top-tier expert in the dark world, but with only archery and physical fitness, I might manage against ordinary survivors while being thoroughly outclassed by other top experts. I have already won 3 straight days in the arena, and I'm about to reach silver rank. And as the streak grows, I have a faint premonition I will soon run into area experts like Heo Singyul and Sun Weipeng. Without the ant army, I am not confident I can beat them, and my perfect streak would very likely break in their hands. Arena points matter enormously, since they buy arena badges and pay out in the ranking settlements. Once a streak snaps, the rhythm falls apart, the points come pitifully thin, and the loss is huge. But now I no longer feel conflicted at all. As long as I can summon the ant army, forget Heo Singyul and Sun Weipeng, even the whole regional top 100 bundled together, I am confident I could sweep them clean. I do not bother with any more simulated battles. I turn and run for the ant nest, and once inside I rush into Mowell's room, where he is busy cultivating ants, and ask him where the ants he sealed as war reserves are kept. He tells me they are all in the inner room, and I nod and run for it. Behind me I hear him wonder what is wrong with his master, then decide he does not understand and had better keep cultivating ants as ordered, tilting his head before he refocuses. The reserve room for the black scythe hunting ants sits inside Mowell's cultivation room, behind a wide semicircular archway, and it is pitch black inside, impossible to make out. I frown and call quietly for light healing, telling her to send a few light healing ants over to the ant nest, and she answers at once. To power the artificial sun, her main nest now sits down on the 4th underground level, but some light healing ants still remain in the 1st level nest as mobile light sources. Even after advancing, I can command ants directly, yet it is only easy when they are in front of me. Since with so many, I would not know each one's position, so contacting the queen to relay orders stays far simpler. Light healing reaches the ones on the second underground level fast, and several plump light healing ants flutter over on transparent little wings. I tell them to go in, and they fly into the room where I point, dispelling the dark wherever they pass, and my eyes are yanked to the scene inside. Countless gold-ranked black scythe ants fill the room, their 3 to 4 meter bodies curled inward into black spheres to shrink the space they take, and the spheres are stacked neatly piled high as a wall. A genuinely shocking sight. Did Mowal study logistics and warehousing? He is quite good at organizing. I collect myself, muttering the complaint, then look at the black wall, let the purple light flare in my left eye again, and turn the eye of taming straight onto the ants. The tidy stacking makes my taming far more efficient, since I only sweep my gaze in a straight line, and one gold-ranked black scythe ant after another falls under my contract. What delights me is that even after taming dozens, then hundreds, the spiritual power drain stays negligible. At this rate, even a mutual aid contract with tens of thousands of gold-rank ants would probably not overburden me, but it does not go entirely smoothly. As I keep releasing the eye of taming, my face slowly pales and my body sways slightly, so I have to stop and rub my dizzy head. With a wry smile, I admit that while taming the ants barely taxes me, releasing the eye of taming itself burns spiritual power. The ways to restore it are few, either sleep or some precious item, or maybe I could ask Xiongha whether she has anything for it. Forget it, take it slow. At this rate, I can tame every ant in 3 to 5 days, and the 300 odd I have tamed already are enough to fight in the arena, and it is nearly time for the arena to open anyway, so the rest can wait. With my spiritual power almost drained, I stop taming and leave the ant nest. I head to the simulation room on the second underground level, re-enter my information, update my status, and start a simulated battle. The moment the simulation loads, the 2 sentry ants seize me, beat their wings, and carry me soaring skyward. And immediately more than 300 dense gold-ranked black scythe ants appear on the ground and instantly swamp the simulated mutated raging thunderbear. That ferocious beast is killed on the spot in a single instant. The illusory scene shatters and my consciousness snaps back to reality, and I open my eyes, clench my fists, and think that it worked. Next, I use the simulation room to train aerial combat, and once I have gotten a little familiar with it, I stop, return to my room and rest a while, waiting quietly for the arena to open. Time reaches 8 at night sharp, and the arena opens. My subjects conscientiously return to their rooms, enter the arena, and begin the day's matching. Under the new reward system I set up, a single arena badge fragment can be traded for enough meat to eat for 3 days, and also lifts a good chunk of territory contribution, which improves their treatment. Spurred by the rewards, the subjects throw themselves in, and there is no more passive or reluctant fighting. Some with only average strength have even found another road, studying the loopholes in the matching rules, deliberately losing in a row to draw weaker opponents, and still rake in a lot of arena points. For every subject in my underground city, each time the arena opens, it is a feast of free rewards, and their enthusiasm could not be higher. Having rested a while, I wake on time, wash my face to clear my head, lie on the bed, close my eyes, and silently chant the word arena, and I appear in the spacious hall with the golden sphere. Ready, I start matching with practiced ease, a relaxed smile on my face as I wonder which unlucky soul I will draw. Soon I match, the countdown ends, and I appear on the square stage. On the far side stands a young man in a long robe, holding a staff. The opening countdown has not finished, so I take the chance to study him and fall into thought. As the saying goes, people rely on clothes and horses rely on saddles, and this young man, both the robe he wears and the staff he holds, look exquisitely made, nothing ordinary. Some of his features also match the rumors of Heo Singyul, the blazing mage, that the busybodies in the area keep circulating. With this many winds strung together, have I finally run into Heo Singyul. While I scrutinize the young mage, he is scrutinizing me right back, and when he catches sight of the dragonbone bow in my hand, he seems to realize something, his eyes lighting up like a covetous man laying eyes on a rare treasure. The countdown ends and the battle begins, but by unspoken agreement, neither of us rushes to move. For the coming fight over Area Chief, we are each other's biggest rival, and having met in the arena, both of us want to squeeze out as much intelligence as we can. He keeps a safe distance and smiles, speaking first, announcing that this young master is Heo Singyul, the #1 ranked in the area, and if he is not mistaken, I must be Jang Hyun. So it really is Heo Singyul. Confident as I am, confidence is not arrogance, and knowing the enemy leads to victory in 100 battles, so more understanding of him never hurts. I do not rush to act. I reply that I am Jang Hyun, that the two of us should be enemies and not friends, and that there is nothing to talk about. He waves his right index finger back and forth, interrupting me, saying we can actually become friends as long as I pledge allegiance to this young master and become his vassal. Become his vassal? Has Heo Singyul lost his mind to say a thing like that? Seeing me look at him as if I am staring at an idiot, he is not annoyed. He tidies his hair, puts on what he considers an elegant expression, and tells me he knows my strength is not weak, that in the missions the Dark World released a few days ago I took first place in all of them. The thought of me stealing so many area firsts from him clearly needles him, but he forces himself calm and confident and claims he let me have every one of those first places. Before I can respond, he presses on, telling me not to disbelieve him, that I know nothing about true power. I ask, faintly sarcastic, whether young Master Heo could enlighten me on what true power is. He puts on a profound face and lightly asks whether I have heard of the 4 great families of Korea. The 4 great families, are those not the Baek family, the Ye family, the Heo family, and the Namgung family that Baekhyun once mentioned? Not only am I familiar with them, 2 of my teammates come from those families and their standing seems quite high. And Baekhyun told me Heo Singyol is from the Heo family, one of the 4. Reading my silence as ignorance, Heo Singyol looks down on me a little, deciding I must be some country bumpkin with no background who has never even heard of them. He lifts his chin and says so, then explains that the combined resources of the 4 great families are enough to shake the foundation of an entire nation. Although all of humanity on Blue Star transmigrated and the family's foundations were depleted, he says a lean camel is still bigger than a horse, and their strength is far beyond what a bumpkin like me can imagine. He declares he is a direct descendant of the Heo family, the head of the 4, and tells me the world is not about fighting and killing but about influence and foundation. No matter how strong I am only one man, he says, unable to contend with a young master backed by an entire family, and he offers to make me his second in command if I submit now. His words carry 3 parts arrogance, 3 parts entitlement, 3 parts sincerity, and a hint of nonchalance. He genuinely looks down on me from the bottom of his heart, certain that back on Blue Star anything he let slip through his fingers would be a treasure I could not earn in a lifetime. And even in the dark world, his arrogant nature has not changed. He truly believes the terms he just offered are a great favor to me. Looking at that haughty, thoroughly punchable face and the insulting words he just spat, I show no anger at all. I smile happily. I had thought a scion of the 4 great families would be like Baekhyun and Chungha, proper, cautious, intelligent elites, and I never expected an abnormal one. Both from the same 4 families and such a chasm between them. Whatever reservations I once held are gone now, and I lose all desire to keep talking with him, half afraid too much conversation will damage my intelligence. He sees me smile and takes it for surrender to his generous terms and domineering aura. His feigned elegance cannot hold. The corners of his mouth stretch toward his ears, and he is about to praise me for being sensible when he sees me suddenly raise the dragon bone bow. His smile freezes on his face. He manages to blurt out a single curse before the rapidly closing dragon chi arrow fills his pupils. Mages are not known for defense, and had he been ready he would have had many ways to resist, but he was far too self-important, utterly unprepared for me to strike without warning. It is like a principal handing an award to a model student, the student raising his right hand, the principal thinking it a gesture of thanks, and instead catching a slap across the face, utterly baffled. The next second his body bursts apart under the impact of the arrow. The system tells me I have defeated Heo Singyol, gaining 20 arena points and 20 victory points, and that with more than 10 straight wins I receive another 60 arena points and 60 victory points. Then it tells me my victory points are full and my rank is promoted to silver rank. I actually just made silver rank. After today's battles, the badge fragments I redeem, plus those handed over by my vassals, should be enough to synthesize a full arena badge. I will just finish out all my matches in one run. Composing myself, ignoring the little interlude, I keep matching. The system reports one defeat after another, and after Heo Singyol I meet no more strong opponents, everyone dropping to a single shot. Still, by the matching rules it takes a few minutes to clear 10 matches. What I do not know is that outside the talk is lively, someone crying out an extra, that the swift shadow archer has reached the top with a perfect winning streak, that the blazing mage and the soaring swordmaster have both been defeated. Seeing that message on the area channel, many who have already finished their matches return to the arena to check the rankings, and they immediately notice the changes. Needless to say, Heo Singyol was killed by a single arrow of mine, his perfect record shattered. As for Sun Weepeng, he never ran into me at all, but instead unluckily crossed paths with the enraged Heo Singyol. By Heo Singyol's usual style, matched against the 3rd-ranked powerhouse in the area, he would surely have tried to recruit him, but having just been tricked by me, he had become like a pure maiden whose feelings were betrayed, sunk wholly into darkness, trusting no one. The instant he saw Sun Weepeng, he unleashed a savage barrage, muttering nonsense about dying lackeys and despicable villains. Sun Weepeng is not weak, but the gap between him and Heo Singyol is real, and he could not withstand the frenzied assault, and he fell. So of the 3 who once held perfect records, only I keep my flawless streak, a stark contrast with the other 2, and I become the undisputed #1 fighter in the area. The opportunistic fence-sitters who had been wavering immediately messaged me, wanting to pledge allegiance. One congratulates himself for being smart enough not to rush a pledge to Heo Singyol, saying it has been only a few days and the man is already pulled from the altar, that boss Janghyun is the hidden final boss and he must pledge to me. Another cheers a victory for the waiting faction and counts himself in. Heo Singyol reads the area channel and is nearly driven mad, scrambling to defend himself, insisting this young master is the strongest, that Jang Hyun the despicable villain ambushed him, that in fair competition 10 of me would be no match for him. The crowd only jeers, telling him a loss is a loss and asking if he is a sore loser, one adding that his mentality is far too petty and thank goodness they never pledged to him. His defense not only fails to convince, it earns him universal condemnation, and never having suffered such a major loss, he cannot bear the humiliation, his eyes rolling back until he actually faints from rage. Having just finished my last match, I know nothing of the scene outside. I first redeem the 5 daily limited badge fragments, then check my backpack and find I have already accumulated 73 arena badge fragments, needing only 27 more to synthesize a badge. The arena has been open only 4 days, and of those 73 fragments only 20 were redeemed by me. The other 53 were all handed over by the subjects in my shelter. My territory holds over 500 vassals I recruited myself, plus the 100 Baekhyun gave me, more than 600 people. The vast majority are weak and can win only a match or 2 a day. Yet after 3 days, a full 53 of them managed to gather 100 arena points, redeem a fragment, and turn it in. No matter how strong I am, I redeemed 20, while my far weaker vassals provided several times that. This is the benefit of a large population. In just 3 days, 53 people gathered 100 points each and handed over a fragment, so once today's matches wrap up I expect quite a few more will have enough. I do not need many, only 27 fragments, and I can synthesize a badge. The thought is enough that I cannot suppress my excitement, and I leave the arena at once, meaning to find Takmungyal and collect the fragments the subjects turned in today. The moment I am outside, my manual flashes non-stop, as if it has been electrocuted, a sign that a massive flood of information has just poured in. For a beat, I am bewildered, since the last time I got so many messages at once was when I posted photos recruiting on the area channel. Could this be another batch of fresh recruits applying to be vassals? I open the manual, and sure enough, it is all admiration for me and applications to become my vassal. I do not know exactly what happened, but I reply and accept them with practiced skill. Between the glory function and the arena badge, I have felt the benefit of a large population firsthand. So facing survivors throwing themselves into my net, I refuse none. My shelter has a complete reward and punishment system and powerful control forces, and with the two complementing each other, I fear no one cutting corners or committing crimes. Soon the applications finish and I have gained a total of 152 more vassals, who appear one after another in the central plaza of the underground city. Like the last batch, they stare at the facilities in shock, and since these people survived the dark world this long, and only pledged after I won in the arena, they all carry decent survival ability. They arrive with a sense of pride that vanishes the moment they see the magnificent architecture, replaced by anxiety and relief, and they stand obediently in place, waiting for my instructions. A few passing subjects catch the shrinking demeanor of the newcomers, puff out their chests proudly, and taste the superiority of veteran citizens. I fly down to the underground city from high overhead, drawing another round of gasps, and look toward the plaza, finding this batch noticeably higher in quality than the previous days. Uncontrollable joy rises on my face as I wonder how many talented ones are among such high-quality vassals, and I tell Takmungyal, waiting nearby, to arrange their registration, to assign them to departments by their circumstances, and to focus on the outstanding talents. He agrees eagerly. As he is about to step forward, I call him back and ask whether any more badge fragments came in today, and he tells me yes, that guessing I might need them, he already placed them in my office. Takmungyal is genuinely efficient. I nod and tell him to get busy. He looks at the crowd of shocked newcomers and announces proudly that the man just now is our Lord Junghyun, then tells them all to line up and register one by one. Several administrative staff in white shirts bring over tables, paper and pens, and help him compile the information, and after all their shocks, the newcomers are extremely obedient, so the work goes smoothly. In half a minute, I fly to the top floor of Building 1, enter through the reserved glass door, and reach my office, and the moment I step in, I see the desk piled high with black alloy sheets. They are indeed arena badge fragments, no fewer than 40 at a rough glance. I cannot help my delight. This many, so now I have more than enough to synthesize the badge, but I do not know exactly how to synthesize it. Delighted and still a little uncertain, I tentatively take all 73 fragments from my backpack and stack them with the black alloy sheets on the table. The next second a prompt appears, telling me the badge fragments have reached 100 and asking whether I want to synthesize a badge, so you only need to pile them together. Convenient. I silently will the synthesis, and the alloy sheets scattered on the table gather toward the center and piece themselves together, until a triangular badge etched with linear patterns rests on the desk, more than a dozen unused fragments heaped beside it. I step up, grab it, and read its information. It is a black iron rank arena badge. Its first effect lets me choose one of the 4-dimensional attributes, strength, agility, constitution, or spirit, to raise by 5 points. Consuming 200 badge fragments upgrades it to bronze grade. Is that it? I cannot hide my disappointment. I did not struggle much to gather the fragments, and most came from my vassals. But no matter how you count it, this item ate 100 fragments, worth 10,000 arena points. That many points could trade for 10 silver rank treasure chests that might even yield a silver rank skill. Is it not a bit stingy for the badge to add only 5 attribute points? I frown and ponder a moment. The badge demands both a huge number of points and a purchase limit, so it should not be this useless. The fragment description mentioned it could raise attributes, special effects, and functions, yet only attributes show now, so the rest must unlock as I upgrade it further. It seems the arena badge is an item unremarkable early and very powerful late. Better still, its poor initial effect will probably stump many who barely grind out one badge on time alone. The thought sparks an idea. I wonder whether any of my vassals have been hoarding points to trade for a badge themselves, a possibility I cannot rule out, and if so, better they face reality sooner rather than later. I collect the remaining fragments on the table, leap down from the glass door, and find Takmungyel busy at his work, handing him the badge and telling him to announce its effects when he has time. Puzzled, he asks whether this should not be confidential, and I tell him it is not really, that he will understand once he sees the effect. He picks it up, his pupils widening, and admits with a wry smile that the effect is far too weak for so many points. I nod and tell him a little weaker is good, because if he announces the information, the subjects will not think they are handing over some treasure, and their enthusiasm for turning in fragments will likely climb even higher. He understands, and says once he finishes compiling their information, he will announce the details, and I tell him to keep at his work. I fly back to my office and sit on the sofa, and a problem surfaces. After the subjects of the shelter became my vassals, their manuals became nourishment for lifting my glory rank, which is fine for other things, but communication is a big problem. Even I have to talk with Takmungyel in person, let alone everyone else. I fall into thought again. Both my vassals and I are modern people from Blue Star, long used to instant communication tools, and it was tolerable while we had our manuals, but now that they are gone, it is like being flung back into primitive society overnight. As the underground city expands, the inconvenience of having no instant communication will only grow greater. I need to find a way, some tool that achieves instant communication. Communication tools, I could ask 09 for help, since the technical side should be no trouble for him, but such tools need all sorts of basic components. Base stations, radios, and given current conditions, those would be hard to meet in a short time. I will ask him anyway. Then there is Wang Hian. I could ask whether his team can develop a kind of mutated ant that transmits information, something like the talking snail communicators in an old Blue Star anime. And Mowal, I recall, once ate a voice modification bead that let him speak human language, so I wonder whether the ants he bred afterward can also speak, and if so, that could be worth exploring. I first message 09 to ask, and he quickly answers no, that some basic components are still missing, and it will take time to prepare for manufacturing. I tell him I understand, and there is no need for now, that I will find him when the need comes, and I cannot hide my disappointment as I set the idea aside for the moment. Then I contact Mowal through the mutual aid contract and ask whether the ants he bred after using the voice modification bead can speak human language. He tells me yes, that the bead changed the gene tied to his vocal structure and that it is hereditary. That is great, and I breathe easier. But another problem promptly comes to mind and my relaxed brow furrows again. Mowal has already reached gold rank, and black scythe hunting ants are large and eat through resources, so they are hardly suited to serve as communication soldiers. If Swift Shadow could use a voice modification bead, it would be perfect, since she is small and sentry ants cost fewer resources to breed. Ideal communication soldiers. I was careless back then, never considering this, and let Mowal use the bead instead. The bead was a gift from Baekhyun, given before I even knew vassals could be subdued. I wonder whether Baekhyun still has any spare, since it is only a silver rank item and should not be out of print. I pick up my manual, find him, and ask whether he still has any voice modification beads. He asks what those are, and I tell him it was the welcome gift he gave me the first time I visited his shelter. He remembers, says yes. He still has a few, and tells me to wait while he digs around, since he does not know which corner he tossed them into. Baekhyun actually still has them. Is this kid a bottomless cartoon pocket? I am both surprised and delighted, and I do not have to wait long before he sends a trade request and hands me 4 voice modification beads. I had not expected him to have so many, as if he were selling them wholesale, so I asked where he got them all. He explains a little sheepish that they were made by a member of his clan, that limited by materials only so many were produced, and that the family asked him to help consign them. But the things are not easy to sell, expensive, and no one wants them. Cheap and it is a loss, so he has just kept them buried at the bottom of a stash. So that is how it is. A member of the Bake family who can actually make silver rank items. It seems the Bake family has quite a few talented people. I tuck the 4 beads into my waist pouch and ask what the consignment price for them is. He says they are not worth much and there is no need between us, but I tell him no. If they were his own, it would be fine, but these are consigned by someone from his family, so taking them free is not appropriate. He is silent a moment, then offers a compromise that he will pay for them himself, since it happens he has a small matter to trouble me with. I ask what it is, and he says it is nothing major, that he has quite a few people now and the underground space I dug for him earlier is no longer enough, and he has new expansion ideas and would like my construction team to help. I tell him that is easy. The Rock Spirit and the others are busy with an urgent project that finishes today, so they can go dig for him afterward, and he happily agrees, saying he is in no hurry, and it is settled. I set the manual down, shake my head with a smile, and murmur that Baekhyun clearly has not been idle these past few days, that his development must be moving fast. After his underground space is expanded, I should return his vassals. As I recruit more and more of my own, his people find their position with me increasingly awkward. It is not right to lean on them heavily since they will eventually go back, yet not leaning on them is unfair to many and hurts their morale, an awkward bind either way. And if they stay too long, they may inevitably grow undesirable thoughts. To avoid any bad effect, better to return Baekhyun's people sooner rather than later. I make my decision silently and walk toward the ant nest on the first underground level. Moel has already used one, and Rock Spirit and the other two have not, so 4 beads is enough. I find Swift Shadow, Light Healing, and Rock Spirit, the 3 ant queens, and feed each of them a voice modification bead. Then I head for the newly renovated research laboratory on the 45th floor of Building 1. It no longer holds only the original 3 led by Wang Haeon, but a dozen or so scholarly-looking young people all busy at work. I scan the room and spot Wang Haeon hunched over a desk by the window, absorbed in something. A sharp-eyed lab assistant notices me and hurries to remind him that the Lord has arrived. Interrupted, Wang Haeon frowns, pushes up his rimless glasses, glances up and sees me smiling and nodding at him from the doorway. He quickly stands, grabs a sheet of paper from the table, and walks over, apologizing that the lab is too messy to entertain me properly. I tell him it is fine, that we can talk in my office, and that I have a new task for him. He replies that it is good, that he also has some progress to report. It seems Wang Haeon has made good headway these past few days. I nod, take him up in the elevator to my office on the 50th floor, and once we are both seated, I go straight to the point. I tell him the territory keeps growing and daily communication is inconvenient, so I want to develop a communication device based on biological information interaction. He frowns, puzzled, and asks whether I have a specific direction, noting that biological information interaction is no small topic, and that starting from scratch it would be faster to research wireless communication directly. I nod and tell him it is not from scratch, that there is already a foundation. I have a kind of ant that speaks human language and communicates with people, and the ants share an internal mutual aid contract network that can be linked, a network that could serve perfectly as a mobile phone. The only problem left is how to assign each ant a specific number, like a phone number, so it can be located precisely and I can reach whoever I want. He nods calmly, pushes his glasses, and tells me that is easy to say, that I have already completed 99% of the progress, that the work left to him is not much and he can solve it within 3 days. His calm gives me ample confidence, and I breathe easier and smile, telling him good. I leave it to him, that I will tell Tak Mungyel about his contribution so it gets tallied. Then I ask him to report his recent research results. He nods and hands me the large sheet he brought over. He tells me these are the gene combinations he researched, from the characteristics of my 4 types of ants, along with information, data, and biological samples I provided, and that he has graded the combinations by compatibility and sorted them by function. Grading? Categorizing? I look at the densely packed paper with some curiosity. At the top sits an S-grade gene, the world tree gene at gold, compatible with all types of ants. There are no A-grade or B-grade genes yet. At C-grade sit the mutated raging thunderbear gene, compatible with the black scythe hunting ant, and the mutated Sika deer gene, compatible with tunneling ants, the light healing ant, and the sentry ant. Below that come suggestive combinations. A flying ranged black scythe hunting ant comes from the mutated raging thunderbear gene, plus raven gene plus red heartfruit gene. A strength tank comes from mutated wild boar plus mutated yak plus mutated turkey gene. And on it goes. The sheet holds not only the gene rating of each of my existing animals and plants and each ant's compatibility with them, but hundreds of combinations that achieve different functions. This detailed, it is practically a gene recipe. Among his combinations, some I have already discovered, but others I never even considered, like fusing the red heartfruit gene with the black scythe hunting ant, 2 seemingly mismatched things I would not have thought to pair even after much study. Given enough time, I could slowly fuse genes and probably find many combinations myself, but never as rich or as detailed as his, and it would take far longer. Wang Haeon truly lives up to his professionalism, analyzing gene characteristics alone to draw so many combinations and find the most compatible ones in such a short span. Seeing my excited face, he adjusts his rimless glasses and adds that these combinations are merely conclusions drawn from analyzing the properties of the genes, that they have not actually been fused and verified with ants, and that if I mean to use them, they still need verification. Still needs verification? Wang Haeon truly lives up to his reputation as a researcher. Far too meticulous. I shake my head and tell him that among these combinations, some I have already tried and the effects are exactly as he described. So instead he should verify only a few high-frequency combinations, that the rest are unnecessary and I will have the ants cooperate with him. For now I tell him, we should throw our main effort into biological communication. The cold snap has not ended, so there is no rush to fuse gene combinations into the ants, while communication is the more urgent need. He nods, adjusts the bridge of his glasses, and answers calmly that if all goes well it can be resolved within 3 days, and asks whether there is anything else, since otherwise he will get busy. This Wang Hian just quietly takes on tasks and never once mentions rewards, practically a heartless research machine. Looking at his calm, almost indifferent face, I lose myself in thought for a moment, then suddenly call out to him as he is about to turn and leave, telling him to wait. He stops at the door and turns back, asking whether there is anything else. I say not really, that I only noticed he keeps pushing up his glasses and wonder whether they are broken, that I have a friend very good at making things who could craft him a new frame. He falls silent, a complex expression surfacing for half a second before he returns to his usual placid look, and tells me there is no need, that he is very used to these glasses. Then he turns and leaves. I lean back in my chair, rub my chin, and let out a soft sigh, wondering why Wang Hian looks like a man with a story. It does not matter. Living in this era, who does not have a story? Night falls, the night here being the setting of the giant artificial sun made of light-healing ants. By my design, its first ray of dawn appears at 6 in the morning, and its last afterglow fades at 7 in the evening. The task of nighttime light falls to the long strips of lab fruit, which give some glow, but, without the artificial sun as the main force, leave the place much dimmer, a bustling neon-lit feel of a city at night. The light-healing ants glow by biological instinct without consuming much, and they could in fact keep the underground city lit around the clock, a true city where the sun never sets. The only reason I want the artificial sun to run on Blue Star's schedule is to reminisce about my old life there. Right now I am drenched in sweat in the gravity room, finishing the last set of movements of the basic body forging method, when a message surfaces in my mind. It is Rock Spirit telling me the underground laboratory I requested has been built, which must mean the 109 needed. I grit my teeth, finish the last movement, gasp for breath, and swallow a red heart fruit. Immediately, 12 light-healing ants already poised around me collectively emit a beam of light that precisely illuminates all my muscle groups, and the muscles that had involuntarily spasmed from the strenuous work quickly return to normal. These 12 have red heads, green bodies, and golden wings, the strongest recovery combination Wang Heian developed. Light-healing ants fused with the Gold World Tree gene, the Green World Tree gene, and the Red Heart Fruit gene, extremely effective at recovering from exercise fatigue. With these little sprites' help, my body recovers markedly, and I head at once for the newly opened 5th floor of the underground city, where 09's laboratory sits. Originally, I meant to give 09 a floor in Building 1, but he needed too large a space for a single floor to hold, and he also asked for enough quiet, which the bustling underground city could not provide, so I chose the 5th underground floor instead. I had planned this floor as a warehouse anyway, which perfectly meets his need for space and quiet, and adding his laboratory will not disturb the warehouse's function. I also have a small scheme in mind. Placing his lab beside the warehouse makes it convenient for him to access materials. His reason for asking me to build it this time may be for a single specific purpose, once or twice at most. But if he finds it convenient, he might forget to go home and simply stay with me, which would make it far easier to have him make items in the future. Lost in thought, I reach the entrance to the 5th underground floor and fly down to find the fruit of Rock Spirit's labor. Before me is a giant rectangular pit, 100 meters long by 500 wide and about 10 meters deep, entirely cast in concrete. Set into it is a smaller rectangular pit, a tenth the size, 10 meters long by 50 wide and 3 deep, and in the middle of that smaller pit sits a framed giant humanoid indentation, roughly 7 to 8 meters wide and over 40 meters long. I am stunned by the oddly shaped thing. What kind of strange design is this? And can it even be called a laboratory? Why is there a giant humanoid indentation at the bottom? Never mind, 09's wild ideas are beyond my comprehension. I will just ask him. I shake my head, stop overthinking, and message 09 that the laboratory is ready and to come inspect it. Since something feels off to me, he replies almost instantly, with an OK, and sends a teleportation request. And after I accept, he does not teleport at once, but sends me a trade request instead. I pause, then accept. In the next second, I receive 20 rifle-shaped items and 1 mortar-shaped item. These must be the compressed energy guns and the compressed energy cannon he mentioned. I had not expected him to be so efficient, producing so many so fast, and I wonder whether the effects are truly as miraculous as he claimed. Looking at the powerful weapons, I am a little excited, itching to test them immediately, but I still have to hand over the laboratory. So I give the firearms to a tunneling ant beside me and tell it to carry them back to the 1st underground floor, while I stand and wait. Soon 09 teleports in beside me, and as he lands and shakes off the daze, he circles the large pit, examining it seriously, nodding slightly now and then. Seeing he seems to have no objections, I breathe easier and ask what he needs such a huge pit for, and this humanoid pit inside it, since as a laboratory the space utilization seems low. He is silent a moment, thinks, then turns his head and asks me, with a serious expression, whether I have ever heard of Transformers. Transformers? For a beat I am stunned, unsure why he suddenly brings it up. Then I react, my pupils contracting, surprise breaking across my face. Could 09 want to do that? Reading my long silence as ignorance, he explains that Transformers are a Western creation, that I am Eastern so I might not be familiar, that I can also think of them as Gundam or Ultraman. I tell him with a wry smile that I have actually seen all of those, then ask whether he is not planning to build a giant robot, and whether that is not a bit unscientific. He nods, his face calm, and says it is unscientific but very black tech. The principle of a human-piloted giant robot is actually simple, he explains, similar to a giant prosthesis or an exoskeleton mech suit. And the core problems are operation and energy supply. Transformers draw energy from energy cubes, and the Spark, Gundam uses nuclear energy batteries and solar reactors. And Ultraman is even more unscientific, running on plasma spark, the sun, even human spiritual energy. He knows these exist only in fiction, he says, but the dark world we are in now is, compared with science, closer to those fictional works. Watching his eyes slide from indifferent to fervent, I swallow hard and nod. True enough, take myself as the example, relying on one small instrument to assemble and disassemble genes, like building blocks. Is that not also a kind of science fiction? Set against that, his notion of an artificial Gundam no longer sounds so far-fetched. I ask whether he is ready on both fronts, operation control and energy supply, and he nods lightly and says all prepared. For control, he relies mainly on two systems, data lines and his mechanical heart, and though the mechanical heart alone could handle control, that would burden him too much, so the data lines assist and lighten the load. For energy, he plans to use beast cores and compressed energy cores. The compressed energy core being a recent project of his, largely complete, working on the same principle as the compressed energy gun he gave me, only needing to be scaled up larger. Then he grabs my sleeve, his eyes filled with fervor, seriousness, and a hint of apprehension, as if afraid I will refuse, and tells me he needs my help. It is the first time I have seen 09 wear such an expression. The next second I press my hand down on his hair, rub it hard twice, and laugh, asking why the pitiful look. We are partners, after all. I have always exploited him like child labor, in short taken plenty of advantage of him, and that could hardly be repaid just by digging 2 holes. So if I refuse this little favor, would I even count as human? Besides, I am eager to see a Gundam, and I wonder whether I will get a chance to test drive it. Just imagining the huge, cool shape of a giant robot, I nearly see stars. This is the ultimate romance for men, and who did not dream of piloting a Gundam as a boy, until the dream was shattered by the monster called reality. And now 09 has pieced that dream back together. Compared to Ants, his ability really is cooler. What an enviable guy. Then again, thinking of the complex structure and working principles of machinery, I decide that ants, being mindless, are more adorable. I tell him to say what he needs me to do. Seeing me agree, his lips curve into a long-lost smile, and letting his hair stay messy, he says he needs my ants to help transport, place, and pour the various components. He also needs my help to gather some materials, since it is no small project, and he cannot finish it alone. He has already asked Will for help, he says, but it is still not quite enough. I nod smiling and tell him that is easy, that my recent development is on track, and the ant's growth has hit a bottleneck that ordinary resources cannot break. So let us focus on his mech first. I have a feeling its strength can reach at least platinum rank, maybe stronger. His face lights up with a brilliant smile and he thanks me, promising to reserve me a seat in the mech, and adding that in the upcoming regional territory disputes, if I run into trouble, he will help me solve it. Goodness, now it is 09's turn to make grand promises to me. I shake my head with a smile and tell him he should first clear out the small fries in his own territory, not forgetting his ranking is very low, that I can handle my end, and to just give me a list so I can start gathering materials. He agrees with a small sound. Just as I think he is about to prepare for the work, he suddenly says he has another piece of information for me. I ask what, and he ponders a moment, then continues that it is only an idea of his, an unverified one. I once told him advancement requires a medium, he says. Was this about advancement? Could 09 be about to advance too? I nod and reply that yes, Chung-ha told me so, that the information comes from the long-standing natives of the Dark World, and should be correct. For my own advancement, I add, I used an item called a first-tier trial scroll that indeed played an important role in the process. He nods and continues that perhaps because of his different path of power, he has some new ideas. These days he has studied the principles of many tech modules and the power of his mechanical heart has strengthened considerably. Through the process, he gradually felt that as long as he successfully builds and activates this mech, he will be able to advance to the first tier. The feeling is vague, just a sensation, but his subconscious seems to believe it deeply, and he has been wondering whether the medium I mentioned is not actually necessary, or rather whether the process of building the mech is itself the medium, an advancement ritual. Advancement ritual. In the top floor office of Building 1, I cross my hands on the desk and frown in thought. After finishing, 09 returned to his shelter to make the mech's compressed energy core and has been gone a while. I first hand his material list to Tak Mungyel, then copy the price information of the corresponding materials from the trade channel for him, asking him to classify and collect the territory's own output first, and then draw up a specific exchange plan. I hand the compressed energy gun 09 gave me to Wang Heian and ask him to test its parameters when he has time. Then I stay in the office, turning over what 09 said before he left. Could the ritual he mentioned be the legitimate means of advancement, just as the natives of the Dark World advance directly, with no need for an extra medium? The more I think, the more possible it feels. Natives of the Dark World can advance without a medium, so there is no reason humans cannot. A medium only gives humans an extra choice. A shortcut, not the only path. This theory still needs verification, and I hope 09's feeling is right, because then we would not have to worry about mediums for future advancements. Let us wait until he completes the ritual before discussing it further. His requested laboratory is finished now, and there is still Baekhyun's project to do. Rock Spirit is truly working hard. After all this, Rock Spirit's labor output has become my core competitiveness. I cannot help a self-deprecating smile at the thought, then send Baekhyun a request, asking whether he is ready to start work. Under the eternal night, time passes slowly and quickly at once. For survivors with cramped shelters and no company, time stretches endlessly, enough to drive a person to the brink of madness, and they would likely succumb to loneliness and pledge to some area lord before the eternal night even ends. Sometimes loneliness is a more formidable enemy than a mutated beast. But for me, with a vast underground space, this is no issue, and the time flies. In the blink of an eye, 3 more days pass. These days I live a very regular life. I wake in the morning for a half-hour workout in the gravity room and eat a nutritious breakfast prepared by a top chef from Blue Star. Then I meet with Tak Mungyil to grasp the territory's daily affairs, check in with Wang Heian on research progress, play some arena matches, and share intelligence with a few teammates. In these 3 days, Rock Spirit has long finished Baekhyun's project and is now excavating the storage area on the 5th, underground level, the first phase nearly complete. As for the vassals, Baekhyun settles down. Wang Heian finished testing the compressed energy gun on the first day, and the data was very promising, indeed reaching a strength beyond an ordinary gold rank, exactly as 09 said, with no drawback aside from the slightly high energy consumption. In this period, 09 produced 60 more compressed energy guns, and together with the ones already given me, they were all installed on a batch of black scythe hunting ants. This batch carries the genes of mutated ravens, mutated raging thunderbears, and red heartfruit, one of Wang Heian's highly rated combinations, so they have good stamina, can fly, and can unleash lightning attacks. After being fitted with the guns, 09 modified them further so that they can power the guns not only with the beast core, but also by injecting their own lightning elemental energy once the core energy runs dry. This greatly raises energy efficiency with both power and consumption far superior to their inherent lightning strikes. Some among them are fitted with compressed energy cannons instead, which I plan to equip in a set proportion later, specifically for tough-skinned enemies. I named this batch of black scythe hunting ants the Thunder Squad, and before the eternal night ends the squad is expected to grow to 300, which will surely be a nightmare for my enemies. Wang Heian's research on biological communication is also nearing completion. Judging by the past few days' progress, I figured it was almost done and arrived at his laboratory early, and as I reach the door I hear cheers inside, someone crying that it is a success. That they did it, that it is truly incredible. It seems the results are good. There has been only one project lately, biological communication, and nothing else would warrant such jubilation. I smile and push the door open. Soon Wang Heian adjusts his glasses, walks over and extends his right hand toward me, telling me he has not failed me. I look down to see a small creature with a dark green helmet marked with a prominent number 1, peeking out from his hand. It is a sentry ant. This must be his achievement. I suppress my excitement and reach out, and the sentry ant, sensing a friendly aura, climbs straight up my arm to my shoulder and gently rubs against my cheek. Feeling the ticklish sensation, I smile and playfully poke the little creature on my shoulder, then look at Wang Heian and ask him to tell me how he did it. He does not answer at once but extends his left hand, and looking down I see another identical sentry ant, only the number on its helmet changed to 2. He explains that communication requires 3 steps: language transcription, information transmission, and target positioning, and that the initial sentry ant already possessed transcription and transmission, lacking only positioning. Achieving positioning is actually simple, he says, requiring only that each sentry ant be assigned a number, like a phone number. But there is a problem, since in an ant colony only the queen truly has thinking ability, while ordinary ants act only on pheromones and the queen's commands. So even simple numbering, ordinary ants cannot recognize on their own. So starting from the gene coding that governs pheromone release, he continuously induced gene mutations in different parts of the sentry ant using trace amounts of mutated spring water, and only then solved the final problem. At this, he raises his left hand and speaks to the sentry ant in it, calling number 1. As he speaks, the ant in his hand begins to vibrate like a buzzing phone, and immediately the sentry ant on my shoulder vibrates too, speaking in human language that there is an incoming call from number 2, again and again. It really achieves precise interaction. He tells me I only need to say answer to it, and I say answer, then hello, hello, can you hear me? The moment I say answer, the ant on my shoulder stops vibrating, and as I tentatively speak a few words, the same words come through in real time from the ant in Wang Heon's hand. Apart from the voice not perfectly mimicking mine, it is practically indistinguishable from a phone call. Simply perfect. I nod, satisfied, and tell Wang Heon excellent that these communicating sentry ants will from now on be called communication ants, and I ask whether they are difficult to cultivate. He shakes his head gently and says the process is not hard, only a bit tedious, that he has assigned a lab assistant to it, that only 10 were cultivated at first, but a daily output of 10 should be guaranteed thereafter. 10? I stroke my chin and ponder. A number neither too many nor too few. Counting only the vassals I recruited myself, not the ones Bei Qian left, I already have over 600, so equipping every existing person with a communication ant would take more than 2 months. Never mind that the number of vassals will keep climbing fast. Satisfying everyone seems almost impossible. I tell Wang Heon to first arrange for someone to keep cultivating them continuously, to keep one for himself, and give me the rest for now. There are no new tasks at the moment, I add, so he should try cultivating some mutated plants with mutated spring water, and I will have Tak Moon-yel send him some seeds. He agrees, adjusts his glasses, turns to his workstation, takes a box of communication ants, and hands it to me, and once I have it, I walk toward Tak Moon-yel. Soon I reach the newly renovated office hall on the 20th floor, which mainly handles general affairs as the administrative service center, with Tak Moon-yel temporarily serving as minister and usually working here when he has nothing else. As I enter, I see 5 workstations like a bank's front desk. At each of them, a female clerk of above-average looks in a black suit and white shirt busy organizing documents. And seeing me enter, they all smile brightly and start to stand and greet me. I wave from a distance and tell them not to mind me, to keep working, that I only need to talk to Tak Moon-yel, and ask whether he is in. One tells me Minister Tak is in his office. I nod slightly and walk toward the minister's office at the back of the hall. The clerks watch me go and discuss it in excited low voices, one saying the Lord is so young and handsome and has no heirs at all, so gentle. Another says she was almost starving to death, and thanks to the Lord she not only has enough to eat but a decent job, and that she would really like to pledge herself to repay him for saving her life. A petite, short-haired clerk clasps her hands to her chest, eyes sparkling, cheeks flushed, as if picturing something embarrassing. The long-haired clerk beside her pouts and tells her to dream on. Little girl, to stop being so infatuated. She asks whether, if the benefactor were handsome, she would pledge herself, and if he were ugly, she would have no way to repay him but to be a beast of burden in the next life. At that, the others burst into bell-like laughter, and the short-haired clerk, teased, blushes and starts playfully bickering with her, and the hall fills with the cheerful chatter of women. The scene is like Blue Star yesterday. About to reach the office door, I catch the chatter behind me and cannot help feeling a little annoyed. My extraordinary physical fitness grants extraordinary hearing, and though the clerks kept their voices deliberately low, I heard everything. What is going on? Am I not here that they dare joke openly about their lord and give me no face at all? Still, this atmosphere of contented, joyful subjects is really not bad. The Lord has an obligation to protect the subjects, just like ants, where the queen holds supreme power and status within the colony, and at the same time bears the responsibility for its development and continuation. Vaguely, I fall into a slight trance, and a sudden realization seems to rise in me, clearing my mind. When I come back to myself, my eyes narrow, as if I have understood something. Just now, I seem to have fallen into a state of epiphany. Lord and subjects, queen ant and ants, there seems to be some connection between them. It seems the better my territory develops, the richer and stronger my subjects grow, the more benefit I can gain. I will verify it slowly. I shake my head, step forward, and knock on the door. He asks who it is. I tell him it is me, and he answers eagerly that he is here. I push open the door and walk in to find him hurriedly getting up and coming toward me, several papers knocked to the floor beside his desk by his quick movement. He asks whether I was looking for him. I nod, sit casually on the guest sofa, and hand him the box, telling him to open it and see. He takes it, opens it fast, and finds sentry ants numbered 3 through 10 inside. And after a puzzled look, his pupils widen, and he looks at me excitedly, asking whether these could be biological communication ants, and whether Wang Heon has succeeded. I nod and confirm they are called communication ants, that the instructions are in the box, and I tell him to take one for himself and give one to each department head for easy communication. From now on, I add, he can cultivate 10 more every day and figure out how to distribute them. He excitedly takes out a communication ant labeled 3, holds it in his hand, then tells me that actually there is no need to give them away, that we can totally sell them. Sell them? He nods vigorously, stroking the sentry ant, and says this is a good thing. Not only can it communicate and scout, its combat power far exceeds an ordinary bronze-grade mutated beast, and it can even hold its own for a few moves against a silver rank 1. So how could such a superb pet be handed out free? We could sell them to the subjects as a high-end product, he says, recovering some of the contribution points in their hands and greatly boosting their enthusiasm. That works. I nod in realization. I have not personally handled territorial affairs for a while, and I kept feeling the subjects were my vassals, so I simply thought of distributing things directly to them. After his words, I see that doing so could easily make them lose their enthusiasm. He continues that our territory is now on the right track with a growing population, and that it is time to create our own currency. Since 09 has been coming to us a lot lately, he says, we could ask him to make a simple set of coin and banknote molds. Our own currency? I am immediately interested and tell him fine. I will talk to 09 right away, and that once the currency is made, we can fully implement a market economy and let the subjects trade freely. He nods and adds that he will find some subjects skilled in art to create several banknote and coin designs. Then I can review and pick one before asking 09 to customize the molds. Additionally, he says, he plans to design a financial system on a dual track of currency and contribution. Basic necessities the subjects can buy and exchange with currency, while contribution points can only be earned by making outstanding contributions to the territory, such as submitting arena badge fragments for a set amount of contribution, or like Dr. Wang making key technological breakthroughs. This will both stimulate market vitality and deepen the subject's sense of belonging. I look him up and down with some surprise, my face full of admiration, and tell him he is really something, that he has thought of everything so thoroughly, and I will entrust the matter entirely to him. But I add that he needs to balance work and rest, to delegate less urgent matters to his subordinates, and make sure to exercise more in the gravity room when he has free time, because his health is his true capital. I step forward, straighten his wrinkled collar, and pat his shoulder with concern. Feeling the light weight of my hand, his bloodshot eyes go a little red, and he quickly wipes his swollen dark circles with his sleeve, saying this is only what he should do. He is a decisive man, and after finalizing the plans with me, he hurriedly leaves the office to find subjects with artistic skills for the currency designs, while I unhurriedly take the elevator up to the top floor office. The subjects have submitted quite a few arena badge fragments over the past 3 days, so that should be enough for an upgrade, right? I come to the desk where a bulging cloth bag waits, and when I open it, the whole thing is stuffed full of arena badge fragments. Looking down at them, I cannot help a little swell of feeling. One man's strength is always limited, but my subjects work like diligent worker ants, piling up resources for me without pause. I do not bother counting the fragments. I just take out my black iron arena badge and drop it in among them, and the instant it touches the pile, the system asks whether I want to synthesize an arena badge now that the fragments have reached 200. I confirm it, and in a blink the full bag deflates until only a scatter of fragments remains, while the black badge I dropped in shifts to a bronze texture. I hold it up and read it. It is a bronze-grade arena badge now, its first effect letting me choose one of the 4-dimensional attributes, strength, agility, constitution, or spirit, to raise by 10 points instead of 5, and its second effect adding 10% to my damage inside the arena. Upgrading it to silver rank will cost 500 more fragments. I stroke the badge and nod, thinking that the jump from 5 points to 10 is not enormous. But if every upgrade raises the number, it will add up to something serious in time. The arena damage bonus is nearly useless to me for now, yet better to have it than not, and I find myself curious what heavier effects it unlocks at silver rank. At the territory's current pace, the subjects turn in about 100 fragments a day, which means 5 days to silver rank. Fast enough. I had guessed all along the badge's early effects would be plain, and with so many subjects feeding me fragments, I am in no hurry. I pour all 10 free attribute points from the first effect straight into my spirit, and my spirit lands exactly on 40, my thinking turning noticeably sharper. Satisfied, I put the badge away. My training keeps paying off, my physical qualities climbing steadily, my archery sharpening until my combat instincts feel like those of a hunter with a decade in the field. The trouble is that after the rush of the beginner's stretch, my rate of improvement has slowed a great deal lately, and a slow climb hands me too little dopamine, leaving me a bit listless. Still, the attributes I earn through training are the ones that give me the most peace of mind. Chung-Ha says training raises life potential itself, and I refuse to waste any chance to grow stronger, so I force myself back up and head down to the second underground floor to drill my body and my bow. Time reaches 6 in the evening. I have trained all afternoon and every physical attribute has crept up another few tenths of a point. Back in the top floor office of Building 1, I eat a steak cut from mutated yak meat, feeling every cell in me actively drink in the energy from the meat, and I let out a comfortable breath. Right then, my communication ant vibrates on my shoulder, chirping in its little voice that there is an incoming call from number 3. That would be Tak Mungyul. I lie back in my chair, answer, and the ant relays his voice, telling me the first draft of the currency design is finished, and asking whether I have time to look. I tell him I am in the office and to come straight up, and he says he will be right there. After I hang up, I turn the communication ant over in my hand, curious, deciding it is genuinely practical, and aside from looking a touch strange, it works about like a mobile phone from Blue Star. No, purely for talking. It beats a phone. It runs on the ant colony's mutual aid network. So unlike a phone that needs base stations and signal, any two of them within the same spatial range simply connect. 3 minutes later, I hear quick footsteps in the corridor and 2 knocks. I call for him to come in, and Tak Mungyul trots to my side with a stack of blueprints and hands them over, saying he had 3 versions drawn and I should see whether any suit me, and if not, they could rework and design more. I spread the blueprints across the desk and study them one by one. The territory's artists have drawn banknotes in denominations of 1, 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100, along with coins worth half a unit and 1 unit. The face of each banknote carries a bust of me in a different pose, everyone carrying an air of heroism, while the backs show scenes of the underground city and the farm area. The coins carry their values on the front and an odd round pattern on the back. I pick the most satisfying version of each denomination and hand the set back to him, telling him these will do. Then ask what the round pattern on the coin means. He looks, his face clearing with understanding, and tells me the artists designed it as a badge to represent the shelter. That since the territory is home to so many kinds of ants, they base the graphic on the head-on projection of an ant's head. So that is it. Innovative. I nod, pleased, and tell him it is a good idea, that I am very satisfied, and to be sure the artists get contribution points in suitable positions. He assures me it is all arranged, adding that he has already spoken with 09, so he only needs to carry the designs to the entrance of the 5th underground floor and hand them to the guarding ants. He tells me not to worry and says he is off. Watching him go, I lean back with an easy smile, thinking another project is done, that building a whole city from nothing really is not bad, and at this stage there probably are not many lords managing what I am. There is a little over an hour until the arena opens, and today is the 7th day since it opened, which should bring a regional ranking reward settlement. I wonder what the rewards will actually be. Just then my manual sounds a notification. So many strangers keep sending me private messages begging to be my vassal that I long ago muted stranger alerts, and now only receive the messages themselves, so only a friend's message rings. I pick it up and see it is Chong-ha. She has not come to the gravity room lately and has been quiet, so I have wondered what she was busy with, and I open her message with some curiosity. She asks how much mutated spring water I still have, saying she will be able to advance in a few days, and needs a great deal of it. Chong-ha is about to advance too. It makes sense, since she holds the world tree leaf and has buried herself in plant research, so being close to advancing is natural. The trouble is the mutated spring water. I shake my head and reply that it is a real coincidence, that I just recruited a biology doctor and recently handed the mutated spring water over to him for some plant projects, so I am not sure how much is left. After I send it, the manual goes silent a while, and just as I think she must be disappointed, a teleportation request comes through from her. I accept, and the next second she stands in my office. Cheong-ha, who came excited and ready to say something, is instantly stopped short by the sight of my spacious office and the view beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. She stares for a full minute before she comes back to herself and looks at me with feeling. She says she has only been away a few days, but the changes here are enormous, that for a moment she thought she had traveled back to Blue Star, that even on Blue Star there are probably not many buildings this magnificent. I shake my head modestly and tell her it is not that dramatic, that as long as Rock Spirit has enough materials, throwing up a few large buildings is only a matter of time. She agrees, having seen Rock Spirit's power herself, and knowing I am not lying, and I can tell that if her own focus lay elsewhere, she would love to ask me to build her a great tower too. She gazes enviously out the window and goes on, marveling that I actually recruited a biology doctor, since she plastered the area channel with advertisements and only landed a handful of master's students, none of them even in biology. She adds that the reason she needs mutated spring water is to push her plants to mutate into more varieties, and that the research I am doing right now is exactly the work she wants to do. She needs to feed the world tree leaf different plant genes for its evolution, so stimulating plant mutation has been her whole line of work. Such a coincidence. I am a little stunned, and before I can speak she presses on, suggesting that since we are doing the very same research, we simply share our techniques and results. She says she has already done a great deal of it, that her territory holds over 500 different plant samples, and that she would like to swap experience with my doctor to see whether they can raise the efficiency of cultivating mutated plants. 500 kinds? Her territory really holds that many mutated plants? My eyes narrow in surprise, though on reflection she has been at this since she first landed in the Dark World. So having so many is perfectly normal. A little embarrassed, she adds that most of them mutated in directions with no practical value, so she only kept the seeds and samples. That does not bother me in the least. I set Wang Hyun on mutated plants partly to cultivate valuable varieties, but mainly to widen the genetic diversity so the ants can fuse and breed more ants with stronger functions. 500 kinds of plant genes should surface many powerful combinations, though Wang Hyun is about to be very, very busy. I nod, thoroughly satisfied, and tell her it does not matter what the effects are. I want them all, that Dr. Wang Hyun is on the 45th floor, and I will take her to meet him. She thanks me brightly, and I lead her down to the research laboratory and introduce her to Wang Hyun. When it comes to raw biological theory, Wang Hyun naturally has the deeper foundation, but in the practical business of research inside the Dark World, Cheong-ha carries far more experience, and the two trade ideas and both come away richer. 10 minutes later, I give her a batch of the mutated plant seeds Wang Hyun recently grew. Eager to get home and study them, she says goodbye, proposing that if she and Wang Hyun cultivate separately, the efficiency will jump, and that they should swap their newest mutated seeds every 3 days. She promises to trade me her 500-odd plant samples the moment she is back. I tell her no problem. The instant she finishes speaking, she teleports home, and a heartbeat later a trade request arrives, handing me a large sack of glass bottles, each holding a few seeds. 500 kinds of plant seeds. First they need planting, then gene collection, then fusion with ants, then research into every combination, an enormous project. Just thinking about it makes my head swim, so I shove the sack into Wang Hyun's arms, clap his shoulder with a solemn face, and tell him it is all on him. Then I run off without a backward glance. He takes the heavy sack, nudges his flat-rimmed glasses up, and calmly turns to assign the work. He tells Sung Yu and Song Ga to handle planting and fast-ripen the mutated plants with fertilizer, and tells Li Da and Wang Jin to take turns extracting, numbering, and recording the genes. He tells Yusin to deduce the effects of the various combinations and Zhang Ri to verify them one by compatibility. His people answer in unison, addressing him as Director Wang, and as his orders roll out in orderly fashion, the whole laboratory hums back to life. I am hardly idle myself. Out of the laboratory, I go straight to the farm area, gather up the crops, furs, and Beast Corps products freshly harvested, and open the trade channel to convert them fast into the various ores 09 needs, following Tak Mungyal's exchange strategy. Do not imagine the trade channel as a matter of simple swaps. To wring the most purchasing power out of my goods, I sometimes have to trade 4 or 5 different items just to reach the one ore I actually want. Even with a fixed strategy in hand, it takes me a full 2 hours to move everything I have piled up, and after the tunneling ants haul all the ore down to the 5th underground floor, I rub my aching forehead, feeling a bit worn. This is with my spirit already boosted to 40 and my energy far more vigorous. I think, where the whole process would be even more miserable. I really wish someone could take this off my hands, but the manual is my single most core item, and besides my ants, not even Tak Mungyal would I trust to use it. For now I simply have to endure. Once Moal and the others grow more intelligent, I can hand it to them. I shake my head, glance at the time and find it is already 8:30 at night. The arena opened for half an hour. 8:30 already. The arena will not close until 10, and 10 matches take 20 minutes at most, so I will rest a while, recover my energy, then play. Back in the office, I steep a piece of my treasured world tree leaf in a teapot and sip it slowly. Hard cut to another shelter, where what I do not know is that Hyo Sing-yeol is being driven half mad right now, throwing a tantrum and smashing things. These past days, he kept hoping to be matched against me again so he could wipe away his earlier humiliation. But on the very day of the ranking settlement, he missed me perfectly, not crossing my path even once. Now his title as second best in the area is all but cemented, and the fury seizes him until he looks like a lunatic, cursing me as a coward, screaming that I dared to deliberately dodge battle. I know nothing of Hyo Sing-yeol's thoughts, and even if I did, I would not much care, since I only ever move at my own pace. After half an hour of rest, my condition has mostly returned, so I enter the arena and start today's matching. 7 straight matches unfold as the usual one-sided slaughter. Even the 2 survivors I meet who carry a pile of skills and look highly ranked give me no real trouble, dropping after a few Dragon Chi arrows. During the lull between matches, I idly pluck my bowstring, a little bored, thinking the regional arena is simply too small and there are almost no worthy opponents. If I hold my streak, I will hit gold tier in about 3 days, and can go take a look at the world arena. Then I am matched with my 8th opponent, the countdown ending, and I appear on the familiar ring, Dragon Bone bow already raised to send the man home. But the moment I clearly see him, the bow I had poised to fire lowers slowly. He wears a green robe, his hair in a top knot, a long sword slung across his back, looking for all the world like an ancient swordsman. This is the soaring swordmaster, Sun Weipeng, and he names me at nearly the same instant, calling me the Gale Archer. We size each other up, say each other's names at once, then trade smiles. He cups his hands a touch awkwardly and speaks first, telling me to just call him by his name, that he dares not accept the grand title people keep giving him. Why is everything about this fellow so ancient? His clothes, his speech, his manner? Is he role-playing? I find it faintly amusing, smile and nod, telling him he can just call me Jang Hyun too. This is our first meeting, but I already learned plenty about him through various channels, and with a decent first impression to build on, I am in no rush to fight. I open a conversation instead, asking what his thoughts are on the coming area chief competition. He frowns in thought, then sighs and shakes his head, saying that under the current rules war is inevitable, that unless a single victor is decided it will be hard to settle. Under winner-take-all rules there can be no peace at all, a conclusion anyone could reach. I nod in agreement and tell him exactly so, that no one will hand their safety to another, least of all a man with real strength. Then I ask how many true heroes he thinks our area holds. He ponders, then offers that Hyo Sing-yeol, ranked first in overall strength, commander of many vassals, a flame mage with outstanding group combat ability, should count as one. I refuted at once, telling him no, that Hyo Sing-yeol is cruel by nature, running his deceits and dirty tricks across the area with despicable low-handed methods, and that a man like that will never achieve anything great. He deliberates a long while, then suggests that Mei Muchong, With her notorious beauty and the many men swaying to her will, wields influence not to be underestimated and could count as a power. I show open disdain and refute her too, saying she is merely a butcher at the village gate hawking her meat, even less worthy of respect. That leaves him completely stumped, and after long thought he can only shake his head helplessly and ask me to enlighten him. I smile, point at him, then at myself, and declare loudly that in the whole area only he and I can truly be called heroes. I tell him I am ranked first in the arena, that even Heo Singyol is just one of my defeated opponents, that my shelter holds over 600 subjects all living in peace and plenty. As for him, I say he has always carried a swordsman's bearing, again and again helping the weak of the area and earning a fine name. Yet he has never actively taken in vassals, which shows he holds no ambition for dominance. But the tree wishes to be still while the wind will not cease. And as he himself said, the whole area can produce only one victor. He may want no dominance, but as long as he exists, no one, whoever they are, will let him walk away untouched. I press on. First, he must admit he is only one man, that once the night ends he cannot possibly defeat both me and Heo Singyol, that even against Mei Muchong he would be outnumbered and beaten. He wants to argue, I can see it, but he knows I am right, so he stays silent. Seeing his expression grow more helpless by the moment, I keep pushing, asking whether he really wants to become Heo Singyal's lackey or Mei Muchong's subordinate. Rather than bow to men like those, I ask him why he does not join me instead, since I happen to be looking for a head of the combat department and he would be an excellent fit. There it is. I have finally shown my true aim, which is to talk this third-ranked expert of the area straight into my hands. He cannot help a bitter smile and asks whether I am really trying to recruit him at our very first meeting, whether he would not seem terribly casual if he agreed. I laugh heartily, confidence all over my face, and tell him it was bound to happen sooner or later. I tell him honestly that I do not much care about everyone in the entire area put together, that I am at heart a pacifist, and that peace and development are my main themes. I add that if I can reach the outcome I want without shedding blood, I would rather not pile up casualties. Everyone in the area still numbers in the thousands. A single man's spit could drown someone, and one person fighting an entire area is a bit much. Reading my boasting, his face fills with disbelief, and he clearly decides I am simply bragging to reel him in. His first good impression of me curdles a little, and he starts to think me a frivolous man. I read the shift on his face and guess his thoughts, but I do not bother explaining. I just smile and ask whether he would like to make a bet, a fight here and now, and if I win he submits to me, and if I lose I submit to him. His impression of me has plainly worsened, and with some impatience he tells me he holds to his principles and will never actively seek dominance, so my submitting to him is out of the question. Besides, his strength is limited, no match even for my defeated Heo Singyol, and he has even less hope against me, so my little trick will very likely fail. I shake my head and cut in, telling him he is misunderstood. When I say I will beat him, I mean an overwhelming victory, a victory that plunges him into despair. One that makes him believe I was not exaggerating at all, that I truly hold the strength to take on the whole area alone. Watching me spill out such a threat, my domineering aura leaking through, his pupils go wide disbelief across his whole face as he decides I have lost my mind. Sun Weipeng carries his own pride. He has recruited no vassals and wants no part of the struggle for dominance, but his personal strength sits firmly among the top 3 of the region, and that is the ground he stands his aloofness on. When Heo Singyol beat him that one time, it was only because a mage carries long-range attacks, and the open, unobstructed arena was too disadvantageous for a swordsman, so Heo Singyol had gone all out from the start, like a man who ate gunpowder, while he himself never used his full strength. Had he unleashed that one move, the outcome would still be unknown. Swordsmen are often countered by ranged professions, yet in the right situation, a reversal of offense and defense can make them the very bane of ranged fighters, and he holds exactly such a method. For me to say I would beat him into despair, what is that but madness? So he gently shakes his head, draws the long sword from his back, flicks it sharply downward, his gaze hardening. He tells me I am quite right, that a tree wants stillness but the wind keeps blowing, that his constant forbearance seems to have convinced people he is easy to bully. Later he says he will use his full strength, and even if he happens to win I need not surrender, I need only remember to give him a wide berth the next time we meet. Goodness, when it comes to showing off, you truly are the best. Watching him strike his handsome pose and deliver such imposing threats, my heart fills with a mischievous delight. I say nothing more, only that a gentleman's word is not easily retracted, and that we begin in 10 seconds. The moment I finish speaking, I start backing away slowly, while he stands motionless, long sword swept diagonally down, holding his stance, showing no concern at all that I, a recognized ranged fighter, am opening the distance. He even closes his eyes, still trying to look cool. I keep silently retreating. As I reach the 10th step, it is exactly the 10th second, and his tightly shut eyes snap open, a sharp glint flashing as he locks onto me 30 meters away. With a furious shout of his soaring dragon sword, he raises the blade and vanishes from his spot, the sword driving straight for my throat at a speed close to teleportation. It is over, I think, because his soaring dragon sword is his ultimate trump, closing any distance in an instant once it locks a target. And for a swordsman whose destructive power is already terrifying, the meaning of such a move needs no explanation. As an archer, I could never dodge his certain kill strike. He has already pictured the blood blooming from my throat, the scene shattering in that very instant. But the feel of a blade sinking into fragile flesh never comes. Instead, there is a heavy dragging resistance, a damping that fights him, and his vision is swallowed whole by an endless black. Where did the black come from? It looks like ants. Such huge ants. So many ants. Jang Hyun was never an archer after all. He has no time to force out a single word, his shock frozen on his face, before a wave of gold rank black scythe ants tears him to shreds. On the ring I smile faintly and tell him his soaring dragon sword is not a bad ability, that he almost succeeded. The system confirms I have defeated Sun Weepung. Having beaten him, I am in no hurry to leave. I burn another 5 minutes, finishing my last 2 matches before I finally step out of the arena. Even though I revealed my ability, given Sun Weepung's character, I judge that even if he does not keep his promise to become my vassal, he will not expose me. And if he did, I would not fear it. It might raise the guard of a few interested parties, but on the other hand, plenty of middling survivors, seeing my terrifying power, would seize the chance to apply as my vassals. Either way, I do not lose out. The moment I am out, I open my manual and flip through the messages, and among a stream of unfamiliar names my eyes light up and my searching stops, because there in the inbox is a familiar one, Sun Weepung. He writes that he was short-sighted, that I truly was not exaggerating, that with the strength I just showed I really do hold the power to stand against every survivor in the region alone. He lost, and by our agreement he will surrender to me and become my vassal, and a vassal application follows. Seeing him honor his word this way delights me. I bet right, I think. Sun Weepung really is a man of his word. Or rather, was he simply awed by my strength, unable to beat me so he joins me. Either way, securing the region's third strongest without spilling a single drop of blood is a fine thing. I compose my excitement and do not rush to accept the application, replying that he indeed carries the bearing of a gentleman and is a trustworthy man, but that I have other arrangements for him. I give him some instructions, then end the conversation without taking him as a vassal. An ordinary survivor I would simply accept, but Sun Weepung is the region's third strongest individual, and considering that soaring dragon sword he just used, even Heo Singyol's dueling ability might not match his. To make such a strong combatant, a vassal outright would leave his original shelter and all his resources ownerless, and would absorb his manual, a great waste. Leave him unbound and working in tandem with me, and the effect is far greater. His shelter could serve perfectly as a bridgehead. At the very least, once the Eternal Night ends, I could locate his shelter and clean it out, which would be a fine option too, whereas taking him as a vassal outright would make finding the location difficult. And given his character once subdued, he should not develop second thoughts over these mere 10-odd days. Seeing that I did not immediately agree, he is moved by my trust in messages again, addressing me now as Lord and saying he has quite a few resources on his end that I might use. Then he sends a trade request, the window nearly bursting with densely packed items. Good heavens, with this many he must have emptied his entire home. I glance over and spot a fair number of silver rank and gold rank resources. It would be a lie to say I am not tempted, but I do not agree at once, replying that I trust his character and he need not do this. He answers that no, since he has decided to pledge to the Lord, these resources are already the Lord's, and he is merely returning them to their rightful owner. For a moment I am stunned, and I look at him with new respect. I had thought him old-fashioned, but he speaks far more pleasantly than I expected, and it seems I need not worry about him being hard to get along with. In that case, I tell him I will accept the resources without further ado, and I readily agree. Call Tak Mungyel and go down to the 5th floor warehouse to accept the trade. The next second, a wide variety of items pours down and heaps up on the ground. I tell Tak Mungyel to arrange for people to sort and categorize them, and he answers yes. Sun Weepung was the region's 3rd ranked, so his holdings are no small number, and having taken so many benefits from him, I find him more agreeable by the moment, my form of address for him shifting without my noticing. I tell Weipung to hide himself and act to the situation for now, that everything else can wait until the Eternal Night ends, then ask what his main abilities are. He answers that he was once the inheritor of a rundown Taoist temple on Blue Star, where he practiced the sword arts and alchemy handed down by his master. No wonder he gives off the air of an ancient knight-errant. He is a Taoist practitioner. Reading his message, I suddenly understand. Back on Blue Star, I picked up a little about religious sects, but I always took them for deceitful superstition, health-preserving exercises at best, and paid them no mind. Knowing now that he carries a Taoist inheritance, I feel even surer of my old judgment, that it was indeed a swindle. Because if these inheritances were truly useful, how could a Taoist inheritor like him fail to beat an ordinary man like me? Just as I muse to myself, he sends another message, and the moment I read it, my pupils contract as if I have heard something out of a fairy tale. He tells me that after he arrived in this dark world, he suddenly found that the alchemy and sword arts he had memorized by heart had each formed a skill. What kind of joke is this? This is impossible, I nearly blurt out, before I calm myself and knit my brow in thought. Given his character, he should not be talking idly, I think, But alchemy and sword arts, those two abilities sound absurdly overpowered. If he truly had two such high-level skills the instant he landed in the Dark World, then what were Hyo Sing-yeol and I even doing? He would have swept every first place in the regional quests long ago, so why is he always ranked below the two of us? I quickly pick up the manual and put the question to him. He sends over the information on both skills and explains. The first is a bronze-grade upgradable sword art. Its flavor about yin and yang flowing without end, which levels up by devouring sword skill type skills, gaining the traits of what it devours, and raising its sword skill damage bonus. The second is a bronze-grade upgradable alchemy. Its flavor about one form begetting two, and two forms begetting four, which records a pill recipe each time he crafts pills. Once he masters a certain number of recipes, it upgrades, letting him refine more pills, with better effects and a higher success rate. He adds that though these two abilities are not weak, they are hemmed in by conditions and do little in the early stages, and that his luck is thin besides, his territory ringed by desolation. The treasure chests he opens spitting out mostly low-quality junk. Upgradable skills, two of them. I hardly register the rest of what he sent, my eyes nailed to the two skill descriptions. I have only one upgradable item, my dragon bone bow, and I earned it with blood, killing a gold rank mutated beast to clear a quest, while he started with two skills carrying infinite possibility. Comparing yourself to others truly makes you furious. My eyes red with envy, I tell him these two abilities of his are too overpowered, and ask him honestly whether he is the chosen one the Dark World picked, whether he might just happen to have a system. He answers, a bit speechless, that if he had a system how could he have been so thoroughly beaten by me, and that these two abilities, seemingly not weak, actually carry major problems. The sword art needs to devour sword skill type skills to upgrade, but skills are already hard to obtain, let alone ones restricted by category. And aside from the single sword skill his opening quest granted, he has never obtained another. The alchemy has to produce finished pills to improve, but this world differs vastly from Blue Star. Its plant traits utterly changed, so every original recipe of his is useless, and he must start from scratch inventing new ones. Yet the environment and resources around him are so poor, with so few usable plants, that he can only sink huge sums into buying plants, which dragged his development to a crawl. Reading it, I finally understand why he developed so badly. What goes around comes around. His powerful skills demand a mountain of resources to grow, and rather than helping him early, they crippled his pace. If he were given enough time, I cannot even imagine how exaggerated his strength would become. But time is not on his side, and his carefree, conflict-shunning Taoist nature has, by pure coincidence, benefited me. I take a deep breath. I had first thought of Son Weepong as a sharp blade, of using his shelter to prep for the battles after the night, but after seeing his abilities, that alchemy especially, I completely changed my mind. He lacks diverse plants to test recipes? I have them. How could I leave such a rare talent to develop alone? And if anything went wrong, I would never forgive myself. There is a darker thread in my thinking too. Given his potential, if I let him develop for half a month and he then broke his promise, he would be a huge threat. And though I trust his character, I cannot put his character to the test. My gaze sharpens, and I message him that I have changed my mind, that confining a man of his abilities to one place wastes his talent, and that he should just come to my side, where I have hundreds, even thousands of plants for him to research recipes. A flash of joy crosses his reply. He is a quiet man by nature, cultivating his character through the sword and nurturing his temperament through alchemy. And of the two, he prefers alchemy. He never wanted to tangle himself in these conflicts, but having lost to me, he had to keep his word and guard a territory. So seeing me change my mind, he agrees at once, saying the Lord need only wait, he is coming right away. Then he sends a vassal application again. Seeing it, I am slightly startled, a complex feeling in my eyes. Son Weepong has such an innocent heart, and I still doubted him. Perhaps this too is a necessary road to becoming a qualified lord. I shake my head and choose to accept, since he has already traded all his resources to me and there is nothing left behind for others to benefit from. Soon a green-robed swordsman appears beside me, Son Weepong himself. I am still in the 5th floor warehouse area, not yet fully renovated. The surroundings a mess, but even so, it is enough to